6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Connor Ingram had a brilliant 49-save effort, but it wasn't quite enough to guide the Nashville Predators to victory. Cale Makar scored the game winner 8:31 into overtime as the Colorado Avalanche captured a 2-1 win and a 2-0 series lead in their Stanley Cup first-round playoff matchup. Preds get to come home. Game 3 tomorrow afternoon, Bridgestone Arena. Puck drop set for 3:30. NBA tonight. They didn't have any playoff games last night. Heat at the Sixers, 6 o'clock. Suns at Mavs, 8:30. Both the Suns and the Heat lead their second-round series by a 2-0 margin, respectively. Tomorrow, Celtics at the Bucks, 2:30 will be the tip, followed by the Griz at the Warriors at 7:30. The Atlanta Braves start a 3-game set tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers at Truist Park. First pitch set for 6:20. The Sounds beat Norfolk 4-3. Sounds are 18-8 on the season. They host Norfolk tonight at First Horizon Park. First pitch set for 6:35. And Nashville SC hosts Real Salt Lake in their second ever game in Geodis Park. History. That kickoff is set for 4 o'clock on Sunday. For Foundation Repair and Waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in, J. Martin Ramon on this Friday. So we had landscaping done, we had mulch, we had all this stuff put in on Wednesday, right? And then it gets blown all over creation yesterday during the weather.
I've been there. What'd you get? Like mulch, wood chips, or like pine needle?
It's more mulch. It's mulch to. I don't really think it's wood. It's not wood chips.
It's not like pine bark. It's not that one.
It's what Dickens recommended.
Okay.
Whatever they recommend, that's what we're gonna tell them to put in.
All right, that's usually smart. I'd say that, but we had somebody one time put in pine needles. I thought pine needles was the worst thing ever, man. They said it's supposed to be better for the soul and stuff like that as far as the nutrients the pine needles put back in. I wasn't a fan of it because of that reason right there, what you dealt with.
Me potentially being able to mulch, that ended when I broke my foot. So
I've been there too.
Dickens set us up with the right people, and well,
I felt accomplished doing that. I went to the
I did it last
nursery.
year and 2 years ago, whatever, and I was just like,
huh.
See this? This is why you married me.
Now you out here paying for stuff like Buck. It's all good, Jay. We ended up having to get like 2 truckloads one day. I actually I removed all of my mulch one year at my old house and ended up doing the lava rocks. By the way, if you do that, that's savvy because all you got to do then is go to like the Home Depot or Lowe's and just get like replacement bags at that point.
Yeah.
Mulch, you got to redo it. Like how many bags did they bring by? They did it off the trailer.
There were a good bit of bags, and then there were a good bit of bags they took back.
Yeah.
Also.
Did they charge you still?
And Abby got this like torch to kill weeds with, like out with the rocks in the back.
Just figured she'd burn your ass with it.
Torch just like 4.5. It's like a 4.5 foot tall spear with a torch on the end of it. I'm like, I'm gonna make sure I know where that thing is.
Just in case you tick her off one day.
At all times.
Abby's a savage, man.
At all times. I saw her looking it up, too, before she ordered. I'm like, what are you looking at? She's like, a torch for weeds.
Wait
I'm like, a what?
I know you don't sleep, but you might want to sleep with one eye open.
Yeah, man.
Last night I almost took myself out, so.
Hold up. Now, let's go back to this torch thing real quick. Regular people use, like, Roundup. Or like some granular weed
but
killer.
You don't really want to use that with pets and with a newborn. And she's worried about chemicals and things of that nature. And she's probably not wrong about it.
No, let's change the narrative to what this really is. We think Abby's plotting to murder Jay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She did mention me getting a life insurance policy recently.
My brother-in-law Josh can help you with that.
There's a lot of Dateline episodes that started out with that. When it's like the person's mourning, and then it's like, what was the life insurance policy? $10 million?
It started with a $10 million life insurance policy. And that's when
and a
things
man
began
named
to
Rodrigo.
Dog, what's going on with this dude?
He was a ballet instructor.
So I'm not off the torch yet, okay? I understand what Abby's saying, but can you imagine her striking that and just woof? The fire comes out and she's just killing like dandelions and stuff.
Apparently, it's just a safer mode than using all the chemicals. We have Roundup.
But I thought you had to get to the root of it.
Whatever it is that she did the research on.
That's new to me.
Then we got it, but then she was like, I don't really have the time.
But that's new to me. That's something that I would love to do is just torch some flowers, like some weeds,
fun.
Though.
It's like, like on the driveway where the cracks are and all that. Just you knock it out.
Here I am carrying around this 4-gallon container of death water, making sure Zeus can't go outside for about 2 hours.
Just looking at Abby's internet history, how does Trident end up in here? Like, why is there a 9mm?
What is going on? Nitrous oxide bags. My God. By the way, I figured that out. By the way, that's
Laughing
great.
gas?
No, not what is it? NO2, not NO2, the plant foods you can get from co-op. Like whenever you get in that, the fertilizer is what they call it, plant food. You can get it at the co-op. By the way, God, what's the chemical in it? Potassium
chloride?
No. I'll give you the name. I don't want to be wrong.
Poison.
No, I'll give you the name, but because I don't want to be wrong about it. I'm sure we got some real yard aficionados out here that's going to correct me on it. But if you get it from the co-op, the bag is labeled plant food. But you also have to give up your driver's license. You also have to give up like some information to buy a certain amount of bags because that was the stuff that was used.
What are you doing, buying Sudafed around here?
No, it's pretty much the same thing because it's the same stuff they use in the Oklahoma City bombings. That's what he was buying.
That's what I was saying.
What's the name of it?
Potassium chloride is the stuff that.
Josh gonna tell me in a second. What's the name of the stuff that you can buy for your yard fertilizer? But when you use it, you have to make sure you water the hell out of your grass because if not, it'll burn it, like literally burn it, because it's very strong. I'll tell you what, my grass was green.
Torch.
Yeah, the flamethrower thing is out of control, man. That is out of line. We need to have Abby back in the studio. we really need to.
So did this flamethrower come with like a backpack?
No, it's
like
not
it's got its own
that.
tank with
it's not like a villain in a video game. It didn't really have a tank. It may have a little belt.
Nitrate. That's what it is. Nitrate. Yes, you can get it.
Ammonium nitrate?
Ammonium nitrate. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, Jay. Man, but you better water the heck out of your grass though, because it'll take it down. But I'll tell you this, yard will be the greenest in the neighborhood, Jay. You want to talk about green? I'm talking about green in like November. It's that good, but you got to give up your driver license and all type of information. I got to ask Abby about this torch thing. I feel like she need to call in. I've never heard of that one, but that's something that my degenerate self will be all about, just so you know. I recently pulled weeds out of my flower bed. The onions and stuff like that. Is this what she burning too?
No, she like you burn it around like
ammonium nitrate.
Burn it around shrubs and stuff. You can get weeds out of mulch or out of rocks or out of things like that.
Nice, dude. Ammonium nitrate. Yeah. I had no idea. Your wife, first it was the trap music. That
she claims was misrepresented. Because she's asked me what trap music is since then.
Schaefer, are we going to let her clean that up? Probably. She said what she said. And then she killed Ron. Okay?
I think she killed Ron first, actually.
Either way, we got to start questioning your safety at night. Like, she might have booby-trapped you with the foot thing. That's the way I'm looking at Abby's is suspect number one right now. And I hate to put your wife on the board like that, but she's suspect number one right now.
At least it looks like we've dodged surgery.
Yes.
I think we found that out yesterday.
My dog, be ready for the summertime.
But a month, at
season.
Least 4 more full weeks with a boot.
God.
At least.
4 weeks? Jay, that's a long time,
It's
dog.
already been 2.5.
You'll be released back into the wild by 4th of July.
Get a new boot today.
Ron he took his shots at us yesterday.
Oh, did he?
He did take his shots at us, dog. It wasn't.
But did he? If I didn't hear it,
that's how you beat him right there, man. I feel like we won, but apparently Blaine and Mickey took shots at them too yesterday. I missed that one.
at them,
Huh? Hey, they took them at 3HL also. And hey, I'm there for it. I'm there for it, Jay.
did you see Phil Mickelson?
I was
Over
telling
$40
Shay,
million in gambling losses.
this golf
You
thing
have a problem.
is,
Buddy.
and I was hearing them talk about Charles Barkley describing Tiger versus Phil, and Phil is a degenerate.
Yeah.
40 million and then got it back. How the heck, Jay?
If I lose 40, I'm never gonna.
I lose $400. I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
that's
right.
time to roll.
That's
man.
that's what I would say.
Am I never ever judge your money off anybody else's dog?
Yeah.
That is a telltale. Who loses $40 million on gambling?
I get ticked off if I lose a $20 bet on BetMGM.
And that was free credit.
Mm-hmm.
40 million. Phil, how are you still married? That's what I'm asking, Jay.
Won a lot of golf tournaments.
Jay, as cool as you trying to cover this up right here.
Well, no, I'm just talking about he's won a lot of money.
But how do you lose $40 million?
More impressive is you have to have
Gambling.
made $40 million to lose
Well,
$40 million.
It's much easier to lose the $40 million than earn the $40 million.
But apparently he would be gambling and then ask for a line of credit at the casino and get it back still. Did he really, though? Did he? I've lost some stuff.
Yeah,
in
the
some
stock
bets.
deal was giving him $1 million a week.
The what?
He was getting he had a stock deal with Dean Foods where he was getting about $1 million a week. His annual income in 2012 was $48 million. Annual.
So he's plus 8 on the year.
Plus 8 just if you were talking about everything. That's right.
What about his bills? I guarantee his lifestyle was more than $8 million a year.
So this golf invitational series is being played in London. Telegraph cited sources saying Mickelson received $30 million up front to do the tournament and must appear in each of the 8 events that make up the golf series. They offer $20 million in prize money and then another $5 million for team play. So you're talking $30 million up front to do the events, 20 more you could win, plus $5 million in team play. So he could come out of there with $55 million to play 8 golf
per
tournaments.
tournament?
No, to play 8 golf tournaments.
8. I'd take that. That's just the major ones or the side ones?
Those are the 8 London, whatever the LIV golf
Oh, that's the Saudi
Invitational
Arabia
series is.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, for sure. Oh, he's up now. That's not even including the PGA. I saw they're thinking about just leaving the whole PGA as in general, man. That's wild.
Yeah.
When did people start hating the PGA?
It's all investing in where can I make more money.
That's all it is.
Seems like it.
Golly, they really gonna take the Masters down at this point?
No.
That's $40 million. I couldn't get over that, Jay.
It's a lot.
Lost
And that was
it.
in 4 years. That was in 2010 to 2014. It's not like $40 million forever. So he's lost even more than that. 615-737-1045 is the telephone number. Tyler Dunne, golongtd.com today. Mike Keith and Aditi Kinkhabwala as well. We announced on probably announced on social media yesterday afternoon. I had a chat yesterday morning with a gentleman that's going to be on the program on Tuesday.
Yeah, man.
Got pissed down my leg.
That guy.
Not really an athlete.
That guy.
I can't wait to ask him about Davis.
I can't wait to ask him about Charles, about Davis, about who Davis was originally.
Who Charles was. Oh, me, oh, my.
Finally get to find out where he gets his merch from, too.
Please. Apparently, people was looking for that Titans head, that Titans hoodie he had on.
Yeah, the one that Malik Willis was wearing.
Yeah, it's like, where did you find that piece of garment?
Yeah.
Oh, me, oh, my. Vols dropped one last night, too, man. Yeah, I tried to stay up for it. They worked through their pitching.
Poor guys.
We're getting to the point where they have to stop, where it'll matter that they've lost one or two.
Yeah.
That one's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, that wasn't a big deal.
Right. 615-737-1045 is the telephone number. I think people are finally off Tannehill's neck. Maybe not here.
For now.
Maybe not the listeners.
Still other players saying stuff of other teams and stuff. Who was it? Michael Thomas that said something, I think, New Orleans. Said he hoping Malik takes his job. It's like, dang. Yeah, it's cold out here.
I'm disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's something else. We'll be back. It's Jay Martin Ramon here on this Friday. We'll also preview Memphis Golden State. We got the suspension. One game. If I knew it was going to be that, I would have done it if I were that kid.
That's fair.
Right? Like if I was the team, knock out one of their key guys for a month, I don't think the punishment fit the crime there.
You don't? Should have been longer, you think? We'll talk about it.
Jay Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, if you're noticing things like basement wall bowing or chimney leaning, or yesterday during the storms, if you notice, hey, your basement, your crawl space have always been a little bit of a problem, but you're seeing moisture there, you need to call United Structural Systems and get them to look and see, because these are possible foundation issues with your home. With over a quarter of a century experience right here in our backyard, USS, which is locally owned, is your solution. That's what they are. They're problem solvers. They have 23,000 satisfied customers and counting. Just a couple years ago, that number was 18. So they've had 5,000 more jobs since then. 100% customer satisfaction rating. You go to the Better Business Bureau, you'll see the A+ there. But again, they're problem solvers, not problem creators, meaning they're not also just going to show up, find something to fix. They're going to give you a free estimate. The free estimate might have a 0 attached to it. That'd be awesome. Or maybe it's not as big a job as you think. You're probably worried about a big price tag. And yeah, look, you're right to be. It could be, but it could also not be. So you got to have somebody that you can trust to tell you if it's not, and that's United Structural Systems. Call them today, 615-227-2275. A lot of these issues are just things you can't really diagnose yourself. So the free estimate to learn what's going on, and then the fact that they do the job before you ever have to pay a cent, you can't ask for more. 615-227-2275, or visit them online at ussTN.com. My friends at United Structural Systems.
Cale Makar, toe drag, in front, Sturm down low. His shot is blocked. Rebound, score! All hail Cale! And you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here because this party is over!
One word, buddy. Decaffeinated.
That's
It's out there for a reason. Just make sure it's a Swiss water process.
What?
Pretty much all the good decaf comes from Swiss water.
I never.
It's just a kind of process
knew
that takes it out without wrecking the water.
Huh.
It takes the caffeine out of the bean
Huh.
without like drying it out and doing the thing. Because there's a certain taste of decaf people hate the taste. It's one of the main reasons people don't drink decaf. That and the fact that they use it as a drug as opposed to just a beverage. Using actual coffee as a drug, because it's got caffeine in it.
Oh. This is all new to me, Jay. I know you've probably said this to me before.
I've told you about espresso, right? About
Yeah.
what espresso means.
No, you hadn't
It just
told me
means
that.
fast.
Okay.
And it was created in Italy, literally supervisors and managers created espresso to shorten coffee breaks so that people would get back to work faster.
Huh.
Because if you give somebody a coffee, they're sitting there having a conversation.
Right.
But espresso's a shot,
A
and
shot.
you get a quick jolt, and you're back to work. So the idea is to increase productivity.
Yep.
So that's why espresso was originally
Is
created.
espresso more potent than regular coffee?
It's just faster. It's packed. The grounds are packed tighter together, and they're finer grounds. It can be, but it's mainly just because you get all of it fast. If you drink espresso slower, it's not necessarily like you're just crushing caffeine compared to anything else, but it takes longer to drink coffee, so you have a feeling that you're getting a lot more caffeine at one time than you actually are.
But you just
'Cause
consume
you are, because you're just taking it all in one.
like a pill form, just super quick. Instead of syrup, you're getting the entire pill right now.
Right.
Huh. Jay, this was news to me. You, my brother, coming in hot with the dad facts today. I like that.
Was that a dad fact?
I thought it was pretty legit.
Give me another example of a dad fact.
A dad fact. Blowtorching weeds.
That's not a dad fact. That apparently was a mom fact.
Yeah, that's a savage fact.
That's what she's telling me in case I step out of line.
Keep the rope hidden, Jay. That's all I'm telling you. Keep the rope hidden in your house. But yeah,
Keep it away from my daughter.
no doubt about it, man. So, yesterday, Tannehill, was still getting some hate. This dude on the Saints team,
Who I'd never heard of till you mentioned his name.
CD Deuce, CJ Gardner-Johnson,
Okay.
man, pretty much quote tweeted a Bleacher Report take from Ryan Tannehill. And
Yep.
he put, "Hope LeBron take your job," and people are ratioing this guy right now. Pretty much told you like Tyron didn't sign with the Saints and about to take your job. People are asking who is he? The takes for on him are all across the board, but for the most part, I've seen everybody for the most part, unless it's just my Twitter, my timeline, clean it up when it comes to Tannehill and this entire situation, man. So either way, we're gonna have Coach 30 on and give his take on him, regardless of the fact, and all things will be well.
Like, I bet he didn't even have a problem with it being done. It was just the way to do that video.
Yeah, for sure. That's all that was, Jay. And I'm appreciative of it, man. This is the game. This is what the NFL does. And we'll get another breaking story before the end of this show today, Jay. I know that to be true.
Pete Carroll says Seahawks not going to trade for a quarterback.
They're not going to?
Doesn't see him trading for a quarterback.
It's pretty much everybody putting Cleveland on notice.
Yep.
Like, we know what you did, and now you got to pay for it.
They're basically like, drop him. We're not going to, we're not helping y'all.
Can you imagine them eating that whole $18 million just for him to go somewhere?
That's what the league did to Cleveland right there.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the heck?
I thought Shafe was falling behind the glass, man. You okay, my brother?
No, that thud was just the NFL telling Cleveland, we ain't trading for
Yeah,
him. You're going to have to cut him. And, you're going to have to eat the money if we trade for him.
Eat the money right now. I wouldn't offer him anything, but y'all know how I feel about Cleveland in general, so that's not like that news. That's news to y'all. But did Cleveland really mess up by going and get Deshaun the way they did? Because if we're going to forgive Ryan Tannehill for what he said, if some people felt a certain type of way about it, you got to look at it and say business is business is business when it comes down to Cleveland making that move for Deshaun Watson.
They're going to hate that contract.
You think they're going to hate it?
They're going to hate that contract.
Just as much as everybody else in the league already hates it.
Yeah, they're eventually going to hate that contract.
So, okay, let me ask y'all this then, since we're speaking about it. The history of Cleveland suggests that they won't have a competent quarterback, even if it's Deshaun? With the way it's
They've never
looking.
done anything like this. This is different. This isn't the guys that – this dude is legit. As long as the skills didn't erode last year.
I was laughing because the only thing they've had good has been Jim Brown.
The problem is that if he gets suspended like we all think he will, whatever that period of time is, he will not have played in the league for about a year and a half.
A year and a half.
Now,
he'll still good enough to get Trey Lance drafted third.
Yeah. Now, if they want to, they can play him in the preseason because I remember that you can be suspended but still have reps in the preseason, but you're out for the regular season games.
So he's got to play the entire game.
But it's going to be.
I could see them not being allowed to do that.
I'm saying that there has been precedent
Yeah,
to that. We've seen that before.
Yeah, I just would be surprised if they had permitted that.
It would surprise me as well. But that's the thing is you're going to have a guy that hadn't played in over a year and a half. Doesn't mean he can't play. Doesn't mean he can't pick up where he left off. But it's
bigger thing is this. What I really want to know about that deal is what was the second place offer?
I don't think it was much of a second place offer.
If the Saints were the team we thought he was probably going to land with, then it was Atlanta
or the Falcons. What was the Falcons' second place offer?
What was the guaranteed money on the second offer? Who were they bidding against to have to offer $230 million guaranteed?
Who was the second shooter?
Yeah,
it probably
Who
wasn't.
Does number 2 work for?
I guarantee you, Baker was a part of it, and a lot of people probably just didn't want him or want to pay that tag for a guy like himself.
Well, it's not even that. I'm saying, what's the guaranteed money that the Falcons were going to offer? I want to know who they were bidding against to have to go fully guaranteed.
Yeah, what prompted Cleveland to go fully guaranteed and at that rate?
Right, that's what I want to know.
Yeah. But clearly nobody was on board with that type of number, though.
That's why I'm curious. Was it 125 guaranteed? Was it 100 guaranteed? What was the number? Because it doesn't seem like it's not like the Falcons. We're going to guarantee $229 million, and the Browns said 230. I want to know how far above
did they shoot
they shot for no apparent reason.
It's Cleveland, man. I say that tongue in cheek. Tongue in cheek, but to me, I think it was the way they set it all up too. Some team probably said, "No, we'll give you your $38 million in the first year." And Cleveland really bent the knee when it came down to his talent as far as we'll make this it's $1,035,000 in year one. That to me, it's weird. And I'm like, you gave him exactly what everybody thought it was saying about his case. Y'all somewhat think he's guilty. Or there's going to be some repercussions from the fact that he has these allegations out here, even if there is, we know right now there's no criminal case behind it. But to say that you're only going to make his year one salary $1,035,000, I think is kind of scummy by Cleveland a little bit. But at the same point, they were trying to please him and enough to attract him to the state of Ohio to play for their football team. Are they that doggone desperate to get to this point? And I'm looking at their roster. They still have two of the best young running backs in this league. So it wasn't like they were hard-pressed to actually get this type of deal done, or they shouldn't have been this desperate. On their roster, as far as quarterbacks go, we know they got our guy Josh Dobbs. Jacoby Brissett is there. Baker is still there. And, of course, Deshaun. They could manage to a point in which Deshaun comes back, or you just look at it as the hangover for next year. If they were going to be trash, which they find a way to have a top 10 pick, the quarterbacks coming out next year's draft, you got to feel real good about them. Why give all of that to Deshaun? And now you're probably going to be up against the cap as far as retaining certain guys moving forward. I think they have a young GM who I like, and it seems like they could do some stuff. This deal right here is everybody's pretty much kicking them in the face for actually making it happen. But the optics of Deshaun being there right now, they're putting out a bunch of images. They're putting out a bunch of press around him, and he's clearly their guy, and they feel some type of way about saying, we don't care what you guys think. And because of that, the rest of the league is not feeling them. Crazy.
I know that the cap's going up and that all this new TV money and streaming money is coming in. But after this year, Deshaun Watson's cap hit is $55 million.
Yeah, Shafe.
For the next 4 years after this year, $55 million.
He's getting a $45 million pay raise. Only person who's gotten that is Phil Mickelson. That's an endorsement.
His base salary will be $46 each after this year.
Yeah.
Is Deshaun Watson that quarterback?
Is he that quarterback?
He could be with the right roster. I mean, he's in a situation where he is a game-changing level quarterback.
Because this is my feeling, because of who Cleveland is. Sorry, Chris Martell. Coaches and GMs are getting fired in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they are.
And they're resetting the deck again.
But in 2 or 3 years, he's still pretty much in this contract. Say 2 or 3 years, he's still got 25 and 26 of getting $46 million.
Who else are you getting when your quarterback's going to have a cap hit of over $55 million? Come on.
You better be daggone good.
You're doing that based upon whatever projections you have, thinking what the cap is going to be moving forward. But even at that, who are you getting? Especially now with the wide receivers getting the money that they're getting.
And can we be real about it also? Respectfully, it's kind of disrespectful by saying it.
Are you going to be respectful or disrespectful?
I'm going to be very respectful in what I say.
Nope.
I'm disrespectful.
But
everybody
hurt.
You still got that recording.
Mm-hmm. It's on the front page.
Not yet. It will be by then.
Respectfully, as far as who are you going to get, you better hit in the draft because it's Cleveland.
Oh, I know, because you have to play a Cleveland tax to bring people in.
And that's the issue.
Do you?
To an extent,
let's be honest. LeBron got in and got out, and he's from the area.
Okay, a Cleveland tax or a Browns tax?
A Browns tax.
They've been bringing some people recently, though.
But what is it actually? Odell got out.
Yeah,
Landry's out.
I'm just saying, but they did get people to come there.
But again, to say the tax though is what's real about it. They got their strategy as far as winning, I think, is through the draft. And is Cleveland good enough to draft a winning team? History says no.
And they have
all of the GMs
they have drafted fairly well over the last few years.
And they have a good roster. It is a good
roster. They drafted
roster.
Myles Garrett. They drafted Denzel Ward.
I mean, that was a
no
miss right there as far as Myles.
Yeah, but you still got to give him credit.
I mean, for sucking?
No,
sure. Now you're being unfair.
Oh, me?
Now they have a good roster,
it.
Ramon. They do have a good roster. You can't say they don't have a good roster, because they do.
Okay, so
now they have some deficiencies.
They've got a top 10 easy.
I'm not saying they don't have some deficiencies on their team. They do. But they're not a garbage team. Maybe a garbage organization, but it's not a garbage team. They were in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Now they have brought in folks with red flags. I mean, they brought in Kareem Hunt.
That's right.
They brought in Deshaun Watson. They have done that. Odell had red flags too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but looking at their roster, you're talking about them putting up a nice, solid roster. Most of the guys they've paid a good bit of chunk to keep those guys. Like Amari Cooper, they didn't give up a whole lot for him, but clearly Dallas feels some type of way about him to get rid of him. It's going to be interesting to see what he does there. David Njoku, they franchise tagged him. They had to because he's a hometown guy. Going up and down, Jedrick Willis, they drafted him. That was very solid. Chris Hubbard had to pay for him. Jack Conklin had to pay for him. Who's another guy on this? Kareem Hunt had to pay for him after being suspended. Nick Chubb drafted him. That's very solid. Deshaun, self-explanatory. Baker was part of this good era of good draft picks. And then he got washed out really quick by the only people that actually liked him. Cleveland. Like, that's what I'm saying as far as what they have to do to keep guys around when it comes to being competent.
Everybody's got to pay. I mean, A.J. Brown's not here because the Titans didn't pay him.
But Cleveland has to pay a good bit. Joel Bitonio is another guy on this roster.
What did Bud Dupree get coming here last year?
Well, that's very true. Bud got over 80, but that's what the market suggested. Like, it wasn't like Tennessee was a bad team.
I mean, I remember hearing the Jets talking about how they had to overcome being the Jets to get people to come there.
But Cleveland's paying market value, too.
Yeah.
The one where they played way above even premium is Deshaun Watson.
That's the difference.
Well, what about Conklin then? Did they pay above and beyond just to secure a guy like him?
They paid top market.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
They have to. To your point, yeah, you're right. Everybody does. But They have to, and we've seen zero residual almost, except your point, they did make the playoffs. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
But it's still up and down. Whether Baker, and I think this shows the instability of their program too, because when you got a franchise guy and you still throw him out to the Wolves and don't protect him from himself, that says you are starving.
I agree they're not consistent and have issues. I do agree with that. But I don't agree with the premise. Yeah, they have to pay above and beyond, but not above and beyond. They've been paying market value, and they've made some good decisions over the past few years. Both things can be true.
That's fair. Titans, when you're dealing with issues of national, at least you don't have to deal with what Cleveland's been going through, because I hadn't seen anything from them, No,
and that's where John Robinson deserves the most amount of credit.
There we go.
That's but they were the Browns prior to that.
They were
not worse.
They were in the wilderness for a decade.
They were moving around for sure.
That's where ownership, GM, head coach, and look, any of the criticisms you want to throw out with J-Rob and Vrabel, there are valid criticisms to be made. But to stabilize this franchise, and now you're a 2-time division winner, that's what makes that loss against the Bengals even that much worse of a gut punch.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is, and this was true with the Titans, and it's true with the Browns, they couldn't find the quarterback, which is why they decided here's $230 million to a red flags-laden quarterback, because we think you can be the guy, because we can't find the guy. Baker's the closest thing we could do. And he can't get out of his own way, and he can't get along with the head coach. So we've got to figure something out there. We want to try to get an adult in the room, as they told Chris Mortensen and all that. But think about the Titans franchise prior to Tannehill coming in. Marcus didn't work. Didn't work, especially after the injury. It really didn't work. Jake Locker didn't work. VY didn't work. It was over and over again, and we've gone through the list of sadness that is the Browns quarterback since Bernie Kosar.
Yeah.
And it's an embarrassment.
It is an
embarrassment. In a lot of years, they had the top pick, took a quarterback that wasn't it because they hit in the wrong year.
What do you have to be looking for you to – it's been generational guys in these drafts.
There are.
And you missed on every single one.
I guess the problem is, when do you have a number one pick and when do you not? Sometimes you're not in the year Trevor is out or Andrew Luck is out or something like this year.
That's timing. You're
if
right.
You had the top pick. Well, Jacksonville had it again, and they needed to get around the quarterback they got last year. But a lot of times it's a team that desperately needs a quarterback, whether there's a quarterback available or not, and then you end up having to take a guy you hope develops and doesn't. Like if Malik Willis had gone one, that'd be – I don't know how that would have gone, but he didn't have to. He went far later. There wasn't a guy that was worthy of the first pick. If you get the first pick in the wrong year, you're screwed if you need a quarterback.
Wrong year. So that goes to why I feel like JR had to trade away AJ too. Simply because the right pick in a wrong year means that you need to stack your team up around it. And this is where I'm going with it. Cincinnati has done a great job of building a team up with wide receivers, a running back that's been very solid. They finally got the O-line right through free agency, but when it was the right year of getting the right quarterback, it hit for them. And this is the results. Although it's yet to be seen what they're going to do the second time around. I think were we talking about this, whereas Cincy going to have to hit the fan this year as far as schedule, as far as repeating.
Well, yeah, they're going from the worst. They're going from the worst schedule to winning the division schedule, which means you're playing. It's a much tougher schedule for them. So you're going to see they're going to have to be even better than they were last year to be able to hold what they had last year.
Mm-hmm.
There is a potential that they're a one-hit wonder and then maybe trail off a little bit.
And we've seen
they're not going to fall. They're not going to fall the whole way
because of the quarterback.
Because of the quarterback, and they've made some really
and they've made good moves
smart
around
moves.
Yeah,
but. Is it fair to expect Cincinnati to do the same thing this upcoming year they did last year? Not necessarily. I'm not saying they can't.
Right.
But I don't think it should be an expectation either.
We'll talk more about it. That's interesting. How do you miss after so many years?
I'll go grab that Browns list, and we'll go through that list.
Yeah, grab the Chicago Bears list, too.
Yeah, we'll have some fun with that.
Situation.
615-737-1045. We could, but it's not as long a list.
It's not as extensive because you had Steve there.
Yeah.
Steve changed that for a decade.
Steve created a lot of equity for a while.
Yes, there's no question.
615-737-1045.
And prior to that was Warren Moon when you were the Oilers.
Okay.
So it's not the same.
We'll be back. It's J. Martin Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Put Lee Company on your team. You're always going to be ahead of the game when it comes to your home maintenance and repair. Sign up for a Lee Company home maintenance plan for as little as $825 a month. That's not a lot. $825 a month for your home. Maintenance plan members receive 4 service visits. And these visits happen around the time you need this service. An air conditioning system inspection and tune-up would be happening right around now to make sure your house is cool and the energy savings are going to be there for you during the heat as it gets warmer and warmer. I think we're almost going to hit 90 one day next week, according to early forecasts. An electrical safety and energy savings inspection, that could really happen anytime. A detailed annual plumbing inspection could too, but during the winter, you get a heating system inspection and tune-up. So it's a great deal. You also get special discounts on all repairs and replacements. So for the very best electrical and heating and air conditioning and plumbing services, the answer is the Lee Company at 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000. Or visit them online at leecompany.com today. Again, that telephone number one more time, 615-567-1000. Lee Company, all you need.
Join 104.5 The Zone for the 81st running of Iroquois Steeplechase, presented by Bank of America on Saturday, May 14th, next Saturday at Percy Warner Park. Make tailgating a breeze by purchasing tickets to the all-new Champions Corner. This 21 and up space gives you sightline on the outside rail with complimentary food and beverage throughout the day. You don't have to bring anything. We'll provide it for you. So no lugging coolers and tents and food. Got it all covered. For more information, to purchase tickets, visit 1045thezone.com/events today.
J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. The Browns suspended operations 96 through 98. Came back in 1999. So, the quarterback list. This is just everybody that started games in order for them at quarterback up to right now.
Damn.
Which means you're going to hear names a couple of different times. These guys were brought back in and things like that. Tim Couch was the number 1 overall pick.
I remember that. My middle school coach tried to get me to become a Browns fan when he got drafted there.
And he was the first quarterback for them after the relaunch.
Mm-hmm.
So Tim Couch, Ty Detmer, Doug Peterson. Yes, that Doug Peterson. Tim Couch again. Spurgeon Wynn. Tim Couch. Kelly Holcomb.
Morning, Kelly.
Tim Couch. Jeff Garcia. Luke McCown. Kelly Holcomb again. Trent Dilfer. Morning Trent. Charlie Fry. Derek Anderson. Charlie Fry. Brady Quinn. Ken Dorsey. Bruce Gradkowski. Brady Quinn. Derek Anderson. Colt McCoy. Jake Delhomme. Seneca Wallace. Colt McCoy. Seneca Wallace. Brandon Whedon. Thad Lewis. Jason Campbell. Brandon Whedon. Brian Hoyer. Johnny Manziel, Connor Shaw, Josh McCown, Johnny Manziel, Austin Davis, Cody Kessler, RG3, Josh McCown, Deshaun Kaiser, Kevin Hogan, Baker Mayfield, Tyrod Taylor, Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum, Nick Mullins.
I ain't gonna lie to you, man. We ran through a lot of those quarterbacks. I was glad they never hit on a good quarterback. Boy.
But that's why there's a tax. They never found the guy.
Yeah,
Baker's
man.
the closest, but he has baggage that comes along with him.
Yeah, he does. And this list for the Titans, it's not a long one. It's just they've had a good spell of quarterbacks that just didn't hit. Steve and Neil O'Donnell. And then it was Steve, Billy Volek, Neil O'Donnell.
Well, also know that Neil was brought in to be a backup.
Yeah. He was brought in. Well, this is games, I guess, in which
he was a
Steve
Super
was
Bowl
injured.
quarterback earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve, Billy Volek, Mike Malk. You
LSU quarterback.
Yep.
LSU quarterback. Oh, yeah, I remember him. Vince and then Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins, then Vince and Chris Sims. Vince, Kerry Collins, Vince, Kerry Collins, Rusty Smith.
Rusty!
Rusty Smith, son.
You don't know Rusty?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Rusty, man.
No, you don't. But we sure do.
Matt Hasselbeck had all of 2011
And he was the bridge quarterback.
Yep.
to Jake Locker.
Yep.
And then Matt Hasselbeck, dang, Jake he pretty much only did 3 years here.
That's it. Then retired.
Oh, my. I thought he was going to baseball, right?
No.
No, he went to the house.
He just went to the house
He
back
just
in
went
Washington.
to the house?
Yep.
God, dog. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jake Locker. My boy, Zach Menberger. What up, Zach? Jake Locker, Charlie Whitehurst, Marcus, Zach, Marcus, Matt Castle.
Don't forget Charlie Whitehurst.
Charlie
Clipboard Jesus.
Yep.
He could what?
His name was Clipboard Jesus
Clipboard.
because of his hair.
Marcus and Matt, Marcus and Blaine Gabbert, and then Ryan and Marcus. So, again, when I brought up the fact that nobody does more than it seemed like 3 years, Ryan's been the most solid one.
Oh, yeah.
In recent history, Marcus has gotten the most time under center, but it's been Ryan's show.
Because he's been healthy.
He's been healthy. So
He's been kind of uncommonly healthy for his own career because that dogged him out in Miami.
in Miami, sure did.
So he came here and he hasn't been hurt because I remember the joke when he got acquired was between him and Marcus, you should get a full season out of him.
Was that really the talk of the town?
I don't think that was my joke.
Yeah.
I did make it.
Dang.
Maybe it was my joke.
Golly.
Doubt it. Somebody else had to have had it.
But to that point, though, somebody's already abbreviated Malik Willis on here. That's crazy.
Abbreviated it.
It's Wikipedia. They've put him on the list with Ryan Tannehill.
Well, let's get him to sign a contract.
Yeah, get the contract first.
Sign him a number for the team first.
But Tennessee's issues hadn't been a Cleveland issue, I don't think, because it hadn't been that many high. Well, it has been some high draft picks also.
I mean, Mariota was a number 2 pick. Locker was a top 10 pick.
Yeah,
Well,
Vince.
3 first-round quarterbacks right there.
That's true.
That were top 10 picks. And Vince, Jake, and Mariota.
Jeez, it's a matter of hitting the right quarterback.
Yeah.
But again, you have to remember, you played at a franchise that had a franchise quarterback.
It took a while.
Most franchises don't have franchise quarterbacks.
Vast majority of them do not. They are searching for it every single year. 615-737-1045. Hour number 2 is coming up. Ty Dunne, that's a guy who lives in Buffalo. And until Josh Allen, since Jim Kelly, that's teams looking for a quarterback. So we can talk to him about the importance of it. And we'll get his thoughts on the draft as well. That's 25 minutes away. After the top of the hour headlines, maybe we'll read the Bears list just for fun.
Choosing violence.
Everybody hurts. It's Jay Martin, 104.5 The Zone.
As leaders in disaster cleanup and restoration, the pros at ServPro are prepared for anything, like when a relief valve on your water heater fails and it pours gallons of water into your finished basement. ServPro is prepared for it. Or when an electrical shortage in your office causes extensive smoke and water damage, ServPro is prepared for it. Or a musty odor indicates you might have a mold problem. ServPro is prepared for that too. You need a lot more than help sometimes cleaning up, and that's why ServPro is your one-stop shop when disaster strikes. Not only do they have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer a variety of construction services, ranging from drywall patching and document drying all the way to complete structural rebuilds. There's just one call you need to make to bring your home or business back as good as new and as soon as possible. So if you're in need of cleanup from fire, water, or any unpleasant event, ServPro is always ready to help. Call ServPro and the official downtown Nashville operators at 800-ServPro to see how we can get you back to like it never even happened. The number is 800-ServPro. ServPro, cleaning, restoration, construction. Franchise are independently owned and operated.
7:03, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. It was a brilliant performance last night from Connor Ingram, playing in goal for the Nashville Predators. Made 49 saves, but couldn't make number 50. Not quite enough for the Preds last night as they fell to the Colorado Avalanche 2-1. Cale Makar scored the game winner 8:31 into the extra session. The Avs lead the series 2-0. That Stanley Cup playoff first-round matchup, Game 3, tomorrow afternoon, Bridgestone Arena. Preds first game here at home in this series. Puck drop set for 3:30. NBA tonight, Heat at the Sixers, 6 o'clock. Suns at Mavs at 8:30. Both the Heat and Suns lead their respective series 2-0. Tomorrow, Celtics at the Bucks, 2:30, followed by Griz at Warriors at 7:30. That should be a great game. The Atlanta Braves start a 3-game set tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers at Truist Park. First pitch set for 6:20. The Sounds beat Norfolk 4-3. Sounds are 18-8 on the season. They host Norfolk tonight at First Horizon Park. First pitch set for 6:35. And Nashville SC hosts Real Salt Lake on Sunday in the second ever game in Geodis Park history. Kickoff will be at 4 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 2, Jay Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville, allfourseasonsgarages.com. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin. We're here at Old 10. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at J Mart Radio, at J Mart and Ramon.
We're close. We were close.
So I'm bringing up the chat because I want to see. So I changed the camera. Changed the camera during the break.
All about angles, baby. What are you looking
the way that it's set up in here, to me, looks terrible. I mean, the lighting doesn't help anyway, but being straight on this way with these windows back here, no good.
There's
still windows back here. Yeah. I'm looking at this on the chat. It's not bad.
You like yours? Yeah,
it's not bad.
Do I need to move Coach Mack now to your other shoulder so he's still in the background?
I think that's really matter if he's in there.
No, I think we need Coach Mack and the Titans monkey.
That's
in there.
Appropriate.
Definitely. You got at least got.
I'd rather have the J Martin Ramon version.
Oh, we can do that.
I got that banner at the house still.
Well, I mean, look.
I mean that Coach Mack.
2 Coach Macks in here.
Yeah, and they both have J Martin Ramon gear.
They do.
Because the other one's a do-rag.
I just feel like there's a lot of wasted space on the camera when it's here and it's showing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's weird because you and or Ron or Babs or whoever's on that side.
Yeah.
The camera's it feels like it's closer up to you guys than it is. There's still a lot of space over here. I do think this is used a little bit better.
Hey.
So I was like, I'm gonna do it. Now it's in the way of seeing you a little bit, so
Nah, you don't see. Oh, you can't see. Oh, that's fine. You can't see me,
I can see you.
Yeah, you don't.
I just wonder how others will feel. They can move it back if they want to. I think this is personally. I think this is maybe a better look.
Those are on Gumby arms. They can go anywhere we need them to.
Actually, they're not. This thing is stretched as far as it could, or I would have had it a little further over here. This thing, I don't know what this is plugged into, but there's no slack.
Oh, so there's no extension on that one. Okay.
There's no snare in my headphones.
Might need some acoustic wave therapy.
Yeah, that's right. Get it up.
By the way, the radio
get it up. Keep it up.
Talking to
I choose violence.
Roger McCreary yesterday, man. Kid got a great interview by him, man, and by them, but getting him to unplug a little bit. But he said he mentioned something. Well, they said one knock that he had on him, short arms. I never knew that was a thing that you're going to judge a DB off of his arms. And when he started talking about, you get somebody talking about their deficiencies, and it goes from, hey, yeah, we're just talking to, I wish you would say something else about him. I've done this, and this. Like,
we've already got a nickname for him then.
What is it?
T-Rex.
T-Rex. We had a D lineman on our team one time. That was his name, T-Rex. No lie. His lower body could move fast as ever. I'm talking about he was blazing, man. But he couldn't get his arms on anybody to shed and get to the running back.
You ever see a T-Rex try to make its bed? It's difficult.
What's crazy on Fridays is like a clown around day with the team. He used to like walk with his arms all crouched over like a T-Rex. It was like really spot on, man. That was pretty wild. But
All right, who was the player?
I'll have to look him up. I don't remember.
Oh, so he wasn't a big time player.
But he was on the team. They ended up getting a ring though, so I got respect.
Hey, good for him.
Good for him. But T-Rex was his name, and boy, you want to talk about short arms? It was bad. It was bad. But apparently that's a thing against DBs though, to where you can't have short arms. I just figured if he could jump out of the world, which he could, and deflect balls, he'd be all right.
He looks so angry.
He does. He really does. Jason's done.
So angry. So just condescending.
What's wrong with you, Jay?
When?
Like 30 seconds ago, you just looked angry.
No, that's me trying to understand the T-Rex. I was envisioning a T-Rex trying to make a bed. So I stopped listening to whatever you guys were talking about because I was just kind of like, so he's having.
After that, I stopped actually listening.
You know who it is?
T-Rex
Yeah,
he's having to bend at the waist.
Yeah.
Get very, very close to the sheets.
But the problem is that with that size head, then even the head kind of hits into the bed and can't get the arms and the hands onto the sheets. And I mean, think about a T-Rex trying to put a fitted sheet on a mattress, dog.
I got who it was. Scott Paxson.
Oh, I don't even know who that was.
See what I'm saying?
Is who?
Scott, the D lineman that had the short arms in Pittsburgh.
I don't even remember that guy.
See what? And y'all got mad at me for saying I didn't remember Rocky. Come on, man.
How can you not? How can you forget Rocky though? That blazing red ginger hair he's got.
I mean, if you see this dude Scott Paxson, you see his head, and you're like, yeah, he got short arms.
Oh yeah, he's got short arms.
He used to walk around like a pet T-Rex.
Is he wearing a jacket?
No, that's
He
a
looks
brown.
like he's wearing a coat.
That's a Browns jersey.
That's his arms. And
Looks like he's wearing a starter jacket
That's a jersey.
in like 6th grade.
But he's got short arms, man. I mean, they talked that. Oh, this is the perfect picture of him right here. Look at his arms.
Those don't look as short as I would have. I kind of wish I hadn't seen that. Those don't look as short as like.
They're not quite
They're not
as short
Kristen
as I
Wiig
thought,
arms.
but yeah.
What in the world of getting?
But the dude's got a 757 for shoulders, so that's why his arms look so small.
No. But if he can't punch anybody, get off a block, what good is his arms? That's bad. Yeah, Scott Paxson. Cool teammate. He got a ring.
He's a kicker.
No, he was a defensive lineman.
Well, I was sure he was a kicker.
Now you see the issue with short arms. But Roger McCraig wasn't trying to hear that yesterday, though. He was all over the fact that it hadn't been a problem. Now it'll never be a problem. I wish you would throw my way. He was all over. His competitive spirit came out in that conversation that 3HL had with him. Oh, me, oh, my. Now I can't stop looking at Scott Paxson's arms. This is bad, Jason.
Who else has short arms
I don't know who
that
else.
you played against that you were able to exploit?
It's never an issue like that. Short arms. If I did, clearly they're not memorable. If I don't remember them like that, Jay. So that's where we at right now.
Good talk, man.
I know.
Awesome.
No,
I have one example. That's it.
Well, Roger McCreary is the other one. That's the only two guys I've ever known been brought up as far as short arms go. You got to be a baller, though. Whatever your deficiencies are, got to make people forget them. And this kid yesterday, he really spoke on the fact that, look, I've covered everybody that you've asked me to. He brought up the fact that Traylon Burks, he talked about how he torched them when they played against each other. Just a whole plethora of NFL wide receivers that he's faced. And he's like, my arms have never been an issue until it got brought up in the draft. Pretty cool. His mom, I think they said his nickname for her, they call it Ice Pick or something like that. Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
And what that means.
I might be wrong on the nickname, but his mom has a cold-blooded nickname. I think it's like Ice Pick or something.
Abby?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
Yeah, Ice Pick.
I mean, we know Abby's a killer. Or plotting against Jason's life.
Or Blowtorch.
Trap
music. Take my hand. Now they're in the friggin' chat talking about him right now. Take my strong hand. Icebox. That's what the name is. Thank you, D. Marie. His mom's nickname is Icebox.
I might need you to change the camera angle because you've been angry for 10 minutes.
He really has. I don't know what's
Ever
going
since
on
you
with
changed the
Jason
camera
right now.
angle, it's just been like brooding.
That's what happens when you start talking about the Cleveland Browns or short arm people.
Eric Alonzo in the chat says J Mart holding a fart face.
Jay, I can sit here and just watch you just look disoriented all day, just so you know.
I think I'm disoriented.
Not disoriented.
What is he right now?
Angry.
At who and for what?
Because he knows his wife's plotting a murder.
I'm not angry.
There's Babs. She's up. Icebox, not ice pick. My bad, Babs.
Whatever.
Look at her taking up for her Auburn guys. She was a linebacker.
Yeah, whatever. He was overdrafted.
That's crazy. He was his mom was a linebacker, and they called her Icebox. Not even joking. He said they called him Icebox Jr. after his mom. Imagine that.
Chilly.
Babs is dying laughing right now. Shout out to Babs. I won't slander you today.
For now.
There's still more time. Still 3 more hours of the show.
3 more
Bro, we
hours.
still got a long way to go.
Ty Dunne, GoLongTD.com. We'll get his thoughts on the draft, who did well, who didn't. Also, I mean, he's used to being in a market that couldn't find a quarterback for a long, long time. Now, he covered the Packers for a while, and they didn't have that problem. Packers and Steelers are real similar in that vein, where they got lucky with quarterbacks for a long time. But most people, most zip codes in the NFL don't have that luxury. So we'll talk to Ty on the other side about that and plenty more. It's Jay Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Two Rivers Ford can custom order any new Ford you want in any model, any color, and available features. They'll get your Ford manufactured for you and delivered right to your door. That right there, that's great service. But what about the price, Ramon? Is it more expensive to custom order than to buy off the lot? Not at all. In fact, Two Rivers Ford has the best prices around whether you buy off the lot or you place a custom order. That's because Two Rivers Ford still sells below MSRP on all non-specialty new Fords, like they've always done. I personally think it's pretty cool that Two Rivers Ford could have raised their prices during the pandemic and during this supply chain issue, but they chose not to because selling at a fair, honest price is the way they've been doing business for almost 40 years. And let's face it, a fair price and great service keep customers coming back for decades. Is why they're here for the long haul. You can always count on Two Rivers Ford to be honest and upfront and to never gouge their customers. When it comes to your trade-in also, you'll always get the max trade-in guarantee at Two Rivers Ford. So custom order the exact Ford you want, get a great price, and get the most for your trade-in and feel good about shopping with a locally owned business that has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Two Rivers Ford is where to go. Powered by Ford, driven by people.
Quote, they'll see how I feel when we play them. We go to their house. They'll see why they bleeped up. Unquote. That's Yannick Ngakoue. That's how you pronounce his name.
Yannick.
No, it's Yannick.
He's a cool dude, too, by the way. He was a pest on the field, Jay.
Well, he's not. He's basically saying the Raiders are the ones that screwed up by clearing him out in order to make room for Chandler Jones. He's now a Colt.
Mm-hmm.
That's the newest piece written at golongtd.com is a sit-down with Yannick
That's the Colts.
Ngakoue. And we welcome in the proprietor of said website, golongtd.com, Tyler Dunne, to the discussion. Ty, what's going on?
Good morning. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
So let's start with that, and then we can talk. I know you wrote about Tannehill and some other things as well, but Yannick Ngakoue is a very interesting guy. I know you sat down with him years ago, and now he's kind of going into a lot of his, just his past and things that he dealt with when he grew up. Give us a little bit of a primer on Yannick Ngakoue, especially now that he's back in the division.
Yeah, great job on the name, too, because his teammates are even screwing it up. So 7 years in, and people can't get his name right. You're right. The first time we talked, it was somewhat fresh off of that L they delivered Ramon Steelers there. I'm sorry about that. That was a tough one. I remember being there.
Come on, Ty. We had you on for great vibes, man. Now you're dragging the whole show down, dog. We didn't come here for this. It was 1 year.
You guys had a squad to win it all that year, too. You really did. But, hey, one day they got the fullback leaking up the middle of the field for touchdowns. Why not? But it was short-lived. So when we talked, I remember being in that locker room, and they thought this was going to be this historic 85 Bears, 2000 Ravens type of defense, and things dismantled relatively quickly, right away, actually. And he was up and coming. I think Calais Campbell really took him under his wing.
Yep.
Kind of a volatile personality player, all of that. But just the best first step in the game. He gets after the quarterback. And lo and behold, he's been on, 5 teams since, went through a lot since, and he just thought it was time to kind of open up when we sat down, about a month ago. And holy cow, I had no idea what he had been through as a child, his mother being abused by his father and growing up in a house where they're basically taking in a bunch of illegal immigrants that his dad knew from Africa, and he's kind of neglecting his kids. There's possums in the fridge. And you fast forward to the NFL days, and he suffered from pretty bad depression that a lot of people didn't know. So, yeah, just fortunate that he was willing to kind of go to some pretty dark places.
Man,
I was going to say the Jeezy line about cockroaches. Because in the article it talks about he flips on a light switch as a kid. Cockroaches are scattering all across the floor.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't even think anything of it because for him it was just normal. It was the life that he lived. Possum in the refrigerator is a new one.
Yeah.
But, so, I mean, he's come a long way, man.
So with that depression side of it, Ty, as far as to dive in on that, man, because, of course, a lot of people deal with that. I'm glad guys are opening up as far as talking to somebody, whether it's you, a professional, or a spouse, whoever it's going to be. What actually put that burden on him? Was it survival of his family? Was it survival of having a job? What took him down that route?
God, it's just such a pressure-packed environment, and it's a profession where, I mean, you've got to take out the guy that your locker's next to. I mean, you go from being in the cold tub to trying to smear him out on a practice field. There aren't many 9-to-5s like that out there. It is a strange job when you think about it. But for him, I think it stemmed from the Twitter spat he had with Tony Khan. I mean, the owner's son in Jacksonville. When he kind of had a feeling he was going to get slapped with a franchise tag again. He'd been there 4 years. He had played through all these injuries. He went through all this stuff with the Jags, and this is after they kind of fell apart, that defense, and he wanted to stay long-term, and he didn't get the offers that he really thought he should have been getting that was on par with the market, and he felt he was getting jerked around, and he took to Twitter, and as we know, that isn't always the smartest thing, and called him, I believe he used the clown emoji. He called the owner's son spoiled. The owner's son went back at him and said, hey, you're really helping your trade value right now. And it was pretty entertaining, even looking back after the fact. But it is true. I mean, that hurt his value on the open market once he did hit free agency. I talked to teams, and they said, yeah, we don't want him because of this thing that happened. And it's pretty dumb if you ask me. I just think like so many large-scale corporations react to something that is popular on Twitter when Twitter isn't reality. It's such a minuscule fraction of reality, yet big decisions are made off of it, and he just was that, and I think it affected him. I mean, he wasn't treated as chopped liver. The Raiders did sign him to 2 years, $26 million. That's not
Right.
that's not chump change, but still, it wasn't Bud Dupree money down there in Nashville that he thought he'd get.
That's interesting that you say he was that way, or his emotions took over with him, because we always viewed him as I'm not sure if you heard me coming on, but I was thinking to myself, like, he was a pest on the field, but the respect factor of how he played in every single play, and he wasn't afraid to go from Alejandro to the B gap with me. He was one of those types that threw himself into the flames. And when we saw him coming around, we was like, God, Lee, he's in Baltimore too now. So how did he get that mentality?
Boy, that's a good question. I think he always just kind of had this edge to him, and it really does date back to his upbringing. I mean, it was hard. I mean, he grew up inner city DC with a father that basically just ignored him all the time, a mother who's working all the time. She was a nurse at Walter Reed, and there's a story he told in our story where it's his dad just forgot to pick him up from school, and him and his brother, he was 8 at the time, Unique. I mean, they're walking through several miles through inner city DC. I think all this stuff just hardened him. Even his high school friendship is kind of known as, it can be right in the crossfire. I mean, there was a teenager that was found dead, like on their practice field one day. I mean, They clean off for syringes. Oh, it's just crazy. I mean, really from as far back as he can remember, he's just lived a really hard life. So, I mean, you unleash that onto a football field, and yeah, you get a Unique Ngakoue that's declaring himself the best pass rusher in the league, and wants to take people out.
Ty, you kind of threw it out for your audience to respond to, but the story certainly this week, well, last week was AJ. This week it was still AJ, but it's also Ryan Tannehill. And everything he said, and speaking of depression with Unique Ngakoue, well, it seems like Ryan Tannehill fell into that as well. That's what he told the media a few days ago, that he had sought therapy after the 3-interception performance against Cincinnati that ended the season here in Nashville in January, and then the Malik Willis stuff. The Malik Willis stuff, of course, is the only thing anybody has talked about this week. Do you feel like that story is fair to go into to this level, that it's overstated? And what did you think of the comment itself? I mean, we've parsed it for days now, and I think we've landed more on the side of defending Tannehill than anything else in this. But from an outsider perspective, somebody that's not following the team on a day-to-day basis as closely as we are, how do you feel about it?
That's 100% where I am too, guys. Like, I guess it's a sign of the times where the NFL has to 24/7, 365 beat the headline, the graphic that we see on social media, the everything all the time. So it's like, nothing's really being said on a particular day. You have a high-profile quarterback. Just being honest, I mean, I didn't really see anything wrong with what he said. I thought it was great that he was so open about such a crushing loss. I mean, he didn't play well against the Bengals. He was on a team that could have won the Super Bowl. We talked about it back then. And he threw all those picks, and it hurt, and he opened up about that. And, yeah, I think what he said about Malik Willis is probably how every starting quarterback feels ever when they bring in a rookie. Like, he just said the quiet part out loud. So I have a hard time killing him for just being honest. We want all these players to be honest, yet when they are, like, we all have to kind of, like, tear him down and tell him to be a leader and shut up and, bring this guy along. Like, no, he's got a family. Ryan Tannehill's got a family to worry about. He's got himself to worry about. I think that, yeah, the Titans probably aren't that upset that he's upset, too. I mean, there's a good thing in motivating your starting quarterback. I just think all in all, it's funny how sports media works today, and it's kind of sad that that's the reality. But hopefully this doesn't scare off other people from just saying how they feel, because I think fans and everybody benefit from the truth. But you know what? Big picture, too, like, the Titans are so smart here to have one foot in the present, one foot in the future. Mm-hmm. I mean, we see it all the time, right, with – gosh, you can go right down the list of teams where they want to keep a receiver or a running back or a pass rusher, and to make the cap work, they play that gymnastic game, and and they push the money down the road for their quarterback, so you're kind of on the hook for 1, 2, 3 years longer than you really should be. Like, they still have that flexibility to move on from Ryan Tannehill if he doesn't play well now. And I think that is so valuable, and it just speaks to John Robinson and Mike Vrabel that they're able to kind of compete now and still think about the future, so you're not killing yourself down the road.
The three teams that moved their wide receivers or their wide receivers left them, the Chiefs, the Packers, and the Titans now with A.J. Brown. All three of them done a lot of winning. They found themselves in the playoffs a lot recently as well. Which one do you think is in the most danger of that decision coming back to haunt them?
So we've got you said we've got the Chiefs,
Tyreek
the
Hill. Yeah, Tyreek, Devontae, A.J.
Yeah, I think the Packers will be okay because they're kind of in this powder puff division at the moment where nobody's – and the Bears are rebuilding, and the Vikings are trying to do that, game, competing now, thinking about the future. We'll see how that plays out. The Lions obviously are rebuilding, so I think they'll be all right. And the Chiefs are going to be all right as long as they have Patrick Mahomes on the field. I don't know. I know it's a cop-out. I think the Titans will be okay, too. I guess they'd be in the most danger because – A.J. Brown was such a difference maker. I got that San Francisco game. You don't see a receiver just take over a game like that. But they also didn't have Derrick Henry for at least half the season, more than that. And if he can stay healthy, that's a big if. But if he still has some mileage left in him, they can run over any team in the AFC. I don't really care who's playing quarterback, who's playing receiver anywhere. They'll be okay. So, but if he goes down, then who scares you offensively? I think it gets a little scarier at that point. And that's coming from a big Robert Woods fan. What an addition he was. Still, you're losing a playmaker. It's not going to be easy, but I think they'll be okay. I really do. I think Derrick Henry isn't done yet.
Speaking of Derrick, let's talk about Jonathan Taylor also, and not just the quarterbacks. Matt Ryan versus Ryan Tannehill. Those four guys right there pretty much are going to control the tick of what the news cycle is going to be when Colts play Titans, man. How do you see this matchup as far as the addition of Matt Ryan in the AFC South? Did it even up a little bit, especially since Irsay had to say what he had to about beating the team down south?
Yeah, it's all Jim Irsay, right?
Right.
If we're reading the tea leaves here, he wanted Carson Wentz out, and I think that Jacksonville game, in terms of a regular season loss, hurt an owner about as much as one can hurt an owner, and because things flipped pretty quick. He threw 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. He wasn't perfect, and obviously his leadership was, people were kind of taking some shots there as well on the way out, but he played okay. They just had to move on. I don't know if there's really a difference between Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz myself. Maybe there is, but I think they got a lot better on defense. You're talking about studs at every level with Unique Ngakoue. Kwity Paye on the other side. Darius Leonard forced 8 fumbles last year, which is insane. And Kenny Moore might be the best slot corner. And Stephon Gilmore is still a top 5 cover corner. They're a dangerous team. And, oh, by the way, DeForest Buckner in the middle still.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's going to be tough. I think it's a coin flip between those two teams right now.
What's going to happen with Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo? Obviously Baker's question is a little bit larger just because there's a lot more drama surrounding that. Garoppolo, whatever team ends up with him, he can fit in. He's a good dude and all this, and Baker obviously is many times his own worst enemy. But how do you think this is going to land for both those guys?
Well, we heard from Robbie Anderson, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
For drama's sake, I'm hoping Carolina, just because it would be fun. And, you've got a player, basically threatening his team, do not bring this quarterback on. We will not be happy. He's definitely speaking for others, but it makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I guess Carolina, they don't want to get caught into that game of just kind of recycling players at that point of their career where we've kind of seen them, we kind of know what they are. They're just stuck in the middle. When you get stuck in this no man's land, this purgatory at quarterback, that's how people get fired. My co-host on our podcast, Jim Onis, he was the second in charge of the Bills. He's so unbelievably honest. He admits that's kind of where they were with the Bills for a number of years, and I feel like that's kind of where the Panthers are. But that makes sense, though. I think that Baker Mayfield is different in the sense of Like we've seen him throw more touchdowns than any rookie ever. We've seen him take the Browns to the playoffs. There's a lot of good in there. I think there's a lot of leadership in there. I mean, we talked about it a month or so ago. I'm not done on Baker Mayfield, so it still makes sense to me there. And obviously Seattle, because I mean Drew Lock, unless you're trying to lose this year and even next year, I think you try something different there. But options are low for all parties involved, so I think he lands somewhere soon. Because the Browns don't want that headache. I mean, they want to move on from Baker Mayfield, and if push comes to shove, I think they just eat the money.
Wow, this is probably one of the more bizarre where nobody wants to pick up the tab or receive the food at the end of the dinner table.
Well, Ty, do you buy into the idea that the league is freezing the Browns out because they're irate over the fully guaranteed Deshaun contract? And I asked earlier about the Falcons and the Saints, who were also in the market for Deshaun. Who were the Browns bidding against? Because it's not like they offered a fully guaranteed deal to overcome a $229 million fully guaranteed deal from one of these other teams. Like, how far did they have to go past what was guaranteed from the second place team or the team that had the second best offer for Deshaun? Like, were they just betting against themselves here? Because I can't imagine anybody else was even close to that number.
I think it's a combination of a few factors, right? You have an agent for Deshaun Watson who's probably the best agent in the game right now in Ugaletta. I mean, he's getting a lot of money for his players at the moment, and he knows how to leverage things. I think he's maybe the best negotiator going. So who knows what those conversations were like? And you have an owner who's been proven to be pretty incompetent in Jimmy Haslam and Dee Haslam. I mean, they've made some awful decisions. You can go all the way back to him making them make Ray Farmer draft Johnny Manziel. I mean, they didn't want to draft Johnny Manziel, and he just said, "No, yeah, you are." So I think that he was willing to go the Deshaun Watson route. Morals and backlash be damned, because he is so talented. A top 5, top 3 talent, and he's sick of losing. So maybe money to him, it was like whatever. Like, we'll give him whatever he wants. And the representation for Deshaun Watson was able to leverage what they wanted, and you get this, and it's insane. I mean, with the accusations, with the 22 women, with all of the just horrible, horrific, chilling detail that goes into this, you would think Deshaun Watson's the one begging and pleading and clawing his way back in the NFL. Like, he's got to convince these teams to give him a chance. Instead, it was the other way around. You had all these teams making their pitches and wooing him and throwing all this money around, and I think that's where the average fan is going to look at that and say, well, what the hell? This isn't right. But then again, games will be played and everybody will probably forget. That's how it goes.
GoLongTD.com is the website. Ty, you do great work, brother. We always appreciate catching up with you.
Thanks, Ty.
You guys are the best. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, that's Ty Dunne. GoLongTD.com. The piece on Yannick Ngakoue is really good. He said he can't wait for the schedule release to find out when they play the Raiders, because he's got something for him.
No, he's intentional.
And DeForest Buckner, who's going to be next to him, obviously, was just like, he said he was overjoyed when they signed Ngakoue because he knows what those two can do together. And I was thinking to myself, similar to Autry and Simmons in terms of
you need savages
guys with some bad attitudes. I
love a good player. But when he's a savage too, Jay, that's game changing right there.
615-737-1045. That's the telephone number. 737-1045. We'll react to some of the things that Ty said on the other side. Shea Martin Ramon, 1045 The Zone. So you need a great idea for a spectacular Mother's Day gift. By the way, that's Sunday. You got 2 full days left. Genesis Diamonds is the answer, because your mom is special. She deserves something special, something she can enjoy for years, something that'll remind her of you. Stop in over the next couple of days. Well, I mean, today and tomorrow, really, or Sunday morning before you see her. Genesis Trusted Advisors can help you find a special, meaningful gift. Layering necklaces, diamond earrings, rings that are stackable, eternity bands, pearls, elegant diamond pendants, all of this. Great Mother's Day ideas for any budget, including colored gemstone jewelry, designer pieces. There's a lot there. The cases at Genesis are jammed for this Mother's Day occasion. They've got it all and at the right price. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, Mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary at Genesis. That's their specialty. Exquisite rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, heirloom pieces, you name it, from the designers that you want. Timeless gifts of jewelry she can enjoy and cherish for decades to come. It's going to remind her how special she is to the family. They're the best at Genesis. They are. They're non-commissioned, which means they're going to help you find the right piece, and it's not because of what's going to be added to their bank account. It's just going to be added to you. Genesis Diamonds is the only jeweler I recommend. They're my jewelry store. I want them to be yours. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, or Cool Springs. J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Thanks to Ty Dunne for joining us. If you missed that, podcast us wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. We recommend it. GoLongTD.com. The piece on Yannick Ngakoue, similar in quality with a lot of information you've never heard about him. Similar to the Big Jeff piece that he did, the Joe Burrow piece that he did last year as well. He does these long-form things really well.
Yeah, man. Unique.
Yeah, Yannick. So when you hear Yannick, that's wrong.
I like Yannick, but unique.
Unique is unique. There are other Yannicks I know of.
Yeah, for sure.
It's Concert Week, 104.5 Zone with your chance to win tickets to participating shows. That's Train or Dierks Bentley or New Kids on the Block. That's the one Shafe would pick. And more, you get to
I'd pick the
make
Dirks,
that
but
choice.
Whatever.
You'd pick Dierks?
Yeah, I've met Dirks.
I like one Dierks song.
Got to do a radio special with Dirks once. It was cool. Good dude.
Pat Monahan's supposedly a pretty cool dude, too. Train?
Yeah, okay. I've never met him.
Well, you're a music guy.
Ish.
You worked in it. I'm not saying that you have
Yeah,
taste.
well, I mean, I worked in country for 10 years, but yeah.
Not like you had taste.
You get to pick, though, the concert you want to see. So be caller number 5 right now for a chance to win, thanks to the Window Nation ticket window, 615-737-1045. 615-737-1045, fifth caller to Jonathan Schaefer. We'll get to pick. And to celebrate summer concert season, you can get $25 all-in tickets to more than 3,700 shows across the U.S. for 1 week only. Get more info, livenation.com/concert week. Fifth caller right now, 737-1045. Let's go to Dominic on line 1. Dominic, what's up?
What's up, Dominic?
Man, what's going on, fellas?
Hey.
Happy Friday to y'all.
Happy Friday, man.
Man, I just had a quick question. Maybe y'all can enlighten me a little bit. It's just an odd theory I have, but if y'all look at it, what are the Texans worth? Like $3.7 billion, right?
Texans?
Worth somewhere in there?
I'd have to look it up, but I mean, it's in the B's.
Definitely over $2 billion
It's
for
in the billions,
sure.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think I saw 3.7. But anyway, what is the distance between when Deshaun Watson announces that he doesn't want to play for the Texans? Like, how far along is it after that all those 22 accusations come out?
Yeah, we've heard that before.
Yeah.
I know what you're getting at. It wasn't very long. It is $3.7 billion. So obviously the franchise is worth a lot.
Yeah, and who like all the ladies have the same lawyer, right?
Yeah, I think they grouped them in for the most part.
So that lawyer is doing all 22 pro bono. Who's cutting that deal? I guarantee you later we're going to see that it was the Texans that set up this stuff.
Man, if it's that, then that's
It's
almost
that-
like
that's-
Miami
That's
Dolphins-esque.
horrendous. I would, let's just say I don't believe that. But I do think that, I don't think the Texans like fabricated stuff. I also don't think they necessarily needed to protect Deshaun Watson when it started happening.
That was
'Cause
smoke
there's a lot of
there.
things that never come out.
Oh, yeah.
There's
that
a
part
whole
right
lot
there.
of stuff that never comes out. And obviously, if he's the starting quarterback for the Texans, he's not going anywhere. He's happy, all that kind of thing. Some of this probably would have gotten swept under the rug.
If team security told everything that players did, coaches did, executives did, heck, I mean, I think it's some people that's questioning Jerry Jones and his accident that he had the other day. It was a car accident, but what actually happened around it? Why did they have to rush him to the hospital maybe before cops got there? There's a lot of dirt in everything that's out there.
Yeah, and I would say to
You
the
know,
point
Dominic,
about,
that's where I'm at with
I
it.
would say to the pro bono argument, the chances that Watson wasn't going to settle with these women or isn't going to settle with all these women, not real good. Like, the chances are he will settle
He's going to settle.
for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's when your attorney gets to cut.
Mm-hmm. So let's just say if he settled $200,000 apiece, how many people is it?
22.
I don't even want to dismiss it, but that new contract that he got, that's $4.4 million at $200,000 apiece.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing a random number
And
across
if the
the wall.
attorney was getting even,
Most times they get about a third of
Yeah.
the settlement.
that's a pretty good paycheck.
That's a hell of a paycheck for that lawyer, man.
Plus, he's all in the news. He's all over the place.
So his working a case like this is going to be popular from here on out. And I think it may be lawyers that actually, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, the lawyers seek out, are there more victims?
If it was real that the Texans were paying the attorney that was fighting Deshaun Watson, that'd be a giant scandal.
That'd be out of this world, man. But $4.4 million is what he would have to pay in total if he paid out average $200,000 per victim, man. Deshaun is getting what again, Shafe J? $46 million a year.
I mean, it's a drop in the bucket. It's a drop in the bucket.
To put it that way, for a guy.
It's like Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Yeah.
Elon Musk's the richest guy in the world. That's pocket change.
Mm-hmm. It might make a dent for the time being, but I mean, look at Phil Mickelson. We spoke about him losing $40 million.
Over a 4-year span.
Yeah, over a 4-year span.
But averaging more than that in 1 year.
Goodness gracious, man. If that is like true, Dominic, that's sad on a lot of different ways.
I mean,
that theory has been around for a while.
Yeah, I've heard it.
And I first heard that when everything started going down. It's convenient.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something.
Sounds like Oliver Stone to me.
Yes, it's Oliver Stone doing JFK.
But with theories, though,
through the looking glass here, people.
all you need is a speckle of truth for it to actually be believable, right?
True. But the thing is, there's enough there. If you want to believe it, you can.
It's there.
Yeah, because of all the weirdness it's been the Texans franchise for the past handful of years now.
Weirdness.
But the thing about it is, so all you did was make it harder to move Deshaun
That's
Watson.
exactly right.
It doesn't help the Texans to devalue Deshaun by making it other teams think twice or have to offer less than they would have because he's now an asset that has red flags that's going to get suspended. All these, it doesn't benefit the Texans.
It makes no business sense to do that. You would only do that to be the pettiest of the petty.
But
if Aaron Rodgers owned the Texans, I might believe it.
Who said that? Not the older version of Aaron Rodgers.
If you own the Texans, maybe.
I ain't gonna go that far.
Maybe if Deshaun was from Cleveland. Now he is. 615-737-1045 is the telephone number. Third hour of Ye Olde program is straight ahead. Mike Keith will join us. We'll be able to recap the entire draft. And, of course, the week that was for Mr. Tannehill as he spoke a few days ago. Get thoughts on all of that. That's to come after the top of the hour headlines. Jay Martin, Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
It's officially Window Nation's graduation sale. So if your old windows are failing or just not making the grade, here's your homework assignment. Call Window Nation and get to the head of the class. And let me tell you what you can get in there. You can buy 2 windows and get 2 free, pay nothing for 2 years, no money downs, Jay, no payments, no interest for 2 full years. Also next week, the heat is about to hit the fan. And if you got leaky windows, air leaving out, you're going to suffer. And it's going to be because of your windows.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a 90-degree day or right there at it sometime next week. The value of your home, the curb appeal, saving money on your energy bills, getting rid of those old, leaky, inefficient windows with new energy-efficient Window Nation windows is going to save you money, and it's going to increase the value of your home. If you've got leaking windows, that's structural damage. Mold can grow. Leaky windows allow mold to grow inside your home unnoticed. I'm not down with that. I would prefer not to have that if I had the option. And I do have the option thanks to Window Nation. 2 windows, 2 free, all you need. Pay nothing for 2 years. No money down, no payments, no interest for 2 full years. That's really all I need to say. Yeah. You buy 2, you get 2 free. You don't pay anything for a couple years. There's no money down. There's no payments. There's no interest for 2 full years. This is the opportunity. It's why we love Window Nation. You should too. What's the telephone number, Mo?
866-90-NATION.
One more time.
866-90-NATION.
Hit them up. They're trusted by over 100,000 homeowners, including our program. And you can also hit them up, 866-90-NATION. But you can hit them online too, windownation.com.
8:03, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. A much better performance from the Nashville Predators last night, especially between the pipes, as Connor Ingram, 49 saves. Really a brilliant performance, but unfortunately not quite enough for the Preds. Cale Makar scored the game winner 8:31 into overtime to give the Colorado Avalanche a 2-1 win and a 2-0 series lead in that Stanley Cup playoff first-round matchup. Game 3 tomorrow afternoon at Bridgestone Arena. Puck drop set for 3:30. NBA playoffs tonight after no games last night. Heat at the Sixers, 6 o'clock. Suns at the Mavs at 8:30. Both the Heat and Suns lead their respective series 2-0 in the second round. Celtics at the Bucks, 2:30 tomorrow, followed by Griz at Warriors at 7:30. The Atlanta Braves start a 3-game set tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers at Truist Park. First pitch set for 6:20. How about the Nashville Sounds beat Norfolk 4-3? They're 18-8 on the season. Host Norfolk again tonight at First Horizon Park. First pitch set for 6:35. And Nashville SC hosts Real Salt Lake in the second ever game in Geodis Park history on Sunday. Kickoff set for 4 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Third hour of the program. We got 2 more this week. Let's make the most of them. It's Jay Martin Ramon here, 104.5 The Zone. Zone TV, if you're hanging out there, we appreciate you this morning.
The chat's been lit as usual this morning.
It?
Like, actually lit.
What's it lit about?
There's been some edible talk this morning.
Yes.
Edible talk.
CBD?
Yep. Wake and Bake Friday.
I didn't know that's what we called it.
We do after the chat today.
Let's call it Friday.
Friday.
I was thinking, we hadn't talked about this in a post-production meeting yet, about we used to do Celebrity Playlist Friday. We could do Dad Joke Friday.
Yeah.
Andrew was ticked off about dad joke, man.
Because it was distracting him at work.
High
day.
You'll be all right.
High day.
High day.
Friday day.
Friday.
Mr. Eagle, your thoughts?
I'm high.
Because I got high.
I saw somebody was getting a little ticked off because they were saying they were trying to outlaw CBD here for a while. They had to make some tweaks to the law of its selling here in Tennessee. Oh, yeah.
Cool story, bro.
Would, but I ain't gonna dive more into that.
That was the most
man.
half-baked type of noise you've ever made in your life.
Me?
You're like, yeah.
I mean, we are who we are in this world, man.
Everything's all right.
Everything's all right.
Tomorrow night, game 3, out on the left coast. Golden State and Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Brooks won't play in that game. He's suspended for 1 game for his actions against Gary Payton II. We've already had Draymond in his situation. Then we had him flipping the Bud Adams.
Double.
Well, that's the Bud Adams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And saying, I'll make an appearance and make up the money. His comments after were pretty funny.
Yeah. He didn't care. He said, I'll make an appearance and make it back. You got the rest of what he said, too, as far as.
Well, he said, I'll make $25 million. I think I'm going to be fine.
I think I'm going to be all right. I was like, dang, Draymond, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. I mean, he's who he is. He even said, look, nothing's going to make me change the way I play. This is how I've gotten where I am. And I would say this. I've said this before. I'm not the biggest Draymond fan, even though I was on his side on this one. Not double flipping Memphis crowd, even though he's hurt or whatever and they're doing it so he's upset. But, like, if Draymond Green had been drafted to the Orlando Magic and not to Golden State, we'd have never heard from him.
No.
Ever. He benefited and may end up in the Hall of Fame.
He's going to, I think, at this point, for sure.
Because of who he has played next to.
I'll say this too. The talent that you're around sometimes elevate the heck out of you.
That's
what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In Orlando, that Draymond Green, who can't really shoot from three, who does all the other things, they're winning 20 games a year or whatever, unless they find somebody else. And who knows what they draft if they end up with Draymond. Other things would then change. But playing alongside Steph and Clay and KD for a little while, Iggy, all the guys, and having Kerr and Mark Jackson, all of those things have made him a Hall of Famer.
No doubt.
And have enabled him to run and flap those gums as often as he has. Because if he's playing in Orlando, he's not talking because nobody's there. There's no microphone in front of him for him to talk. There's no TNT job for him while he's hurt to go on the set. There's no fake fighting to get in with Charles Barkley and all of that stuff. Nobody cares. He is one of the luckiest players in the NBA in a long time because he went to a perfect spot where he didn't have to do the things that he would have been called upon to do in a bigger spot.
Early on, he had time to grow. He had time to play the background role and get to a point to where he developed a specialty, basically, of defense, being able to get away. Yeah, that's what I was about to, being able to get away with certain things as far as the fouls, the kicking, the acknowledgement that if I do something bad, I got the Splash Brothers that's going to cover me up. But, Jay, it's that can go in a lot of different ways when you say, he benefited from it or we'd have not known about him had he gone to the Magic. That's very true. Well, it's the same sense that we feel we talk about guys in football like Keenan Allen. He's solid, but we don't talk about him as much as we should. I don't know if I can compare Keenan Allen to Draymond in the sense that Draymond would have still been killing in Orlando as opposed to we got Keenan Allen pretty much burning people in LA. He's the guy is what you're saying. Draymond became the guy because of his surrounding pieces.
Well, he became a potential Hall of Famer because of who he was surrounded by. Because he was the dude that had he was the funny guy who had the star player as his best friend that could fight his battles for him so he could talk smack and then the tall dude behind him could knock somebody out. And the tall dude behind him in this case was a Steph or a Clay or somebody like that could get the job done and get him to a title. He was not going to be the centerpiece of a championship team. That was not a thing that was going to happen. But I think the larger point here is situation matters, scenario matters, role matters. And to that end, that's why Malik Willis is in a perfect spot because he's in the perfect area to not be expected to do a thing this year, but sit and learn.
Sit and learn. Who was it recently speaking about that? I think Shady McCoy brought that up also, the sit back. Yeah, he said what Ryan Tannehill said doesn't make him a bad person, but in the way he said it made him a bad teammate. And I've heard so many different variations on how people have felt about that and Malik Willis. Like I said, I told you the New Orleans Saints safety tweeted out, "I hope LeBron takes your job." Well, number one, it's probably your homeboy as far as Malik goes, but two, you don't know the entire scenario. I don't know who that cat was in a sense, but most of the guys that have been reasonable about what Ryan said understood why he said it. He just said the quiet part out loud as far as the development of Malik, Willis and stuff like that. It's just Ryan Tannehill. That's all it is, man. And I hate it for the guy too.
Yeah, but and we saw this yesterday, right? Because I've made the comparison, I'm sure others have too, about Tannehill and Alex Smith. And now Alex Smith's trending because of the Tannehill stuff.
Yeah.
And Chiefs fans thanking him for mentoring. Well, we already knew Alex Smith is a great dude. Heard that from everybody who's ever played with him. He was a guy that had to, because he didn't have Josh Allen's arm or Mahomes' wizardry or Aaron Rodgers' footwork or whatever it is. He had to do everything else right. He had to learn the playbook backwards and forwards. He had to know every possibility. He had to be the smartest guy in the room. He had to go the extra mile. I've talked about this as it related to Blaine. Blaine came out of Ball State. Coming out of Ball State, especially when he came out of Ball State, he had to be above it.
Above and beyond.
He had to work even harder to get noticed. The same thing as the first rounder compared to you, Mo. You had to work harder.
Time and time again. Right.
Yeah. So Alex Smith then was the perfect guy for somebody that had all of the tangible skill to learn the other side of it.
Yeah.
Tannehill, first off, changing positions in college, going to the pros and having it go the way it did in Miami.
Yep.
Having to earn it, finding his way onto the field, and then winning a ton of games for the Tennessee Titans. He's a guy Malik Willis can learn from because he's had to overcome a whole lot. And what's the knock on Willis? It's not the arm talent.
Yeah. It's the
simple offense that he
Yes.
played in at Liberty. It's can he learn an NFL playbook? It's accuracy. Can you learn that? All of those kinds of things. I think there are a whole lot worse people to be behind than Ryan Tannehill. Whether Tannehill is saying, "Hey, young whippersnapper, here's what we're going to do over here," like that's not what it is. If he just sits back and soaks up what's around him.
Yeah.
He's going to be fine.
But that's what, let's be honest, the young cat from Golden State right now who's taking off, Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole. He's a product of that also, Jay, as far as being able to. And you know what? This is also getting to the point of where all leagues are at this point. You're speaking about Draymond having time to develop. Malik Willis, like we're looking at Jordan Poole and we're hoping Malik Willis can do what Jordan Poole's doing right now. But the way the game has changed, and there's so many different facets, you guys are going to get me started on this one because now it's the big idea of holding your kids back so that they're ready-made for whenever they go to the next level. Mm-hmm. Like I was talking to a guy the other day. He has a kid, man, that's a freaking monster. 6'8", plays tackle. And, it said some of his deficiencies are going to allow him not to be recruited by big-time programs. Because why? No matter where they are as far as strength, they need to know that they can accelerate their advancement as far as the game quicker than they want to coach them up to. We're getting away from that, and that's going to be a bigger conversation to be had, Jay, about how much time are you going to allow pros to develop. Now, if you're a first-rounder, you're starting.
Well, you see a lot of bad teams that have no patience.
Yep.
There are two things that a lot of those teams, they're continually looking for A+. They're not willing to let B- grow to be A-.
Or A+.
Or
because what is Jordan
right.
Poole right now?
Right.
He's A+.
He's lucky, though. And again, most of these people are because Steph Curry, to be as great as he is selfless.
Yeah.
Steph Curry is willing to come off the bench. Steph Curry, I don't know what Steph Curry has taught him, but Steph Curry has enabled Jordan Poole to become Jordan Poole. Mm-hmm. He hasn't stood in the way of it and been an obstacle to that young man's success. And to me, that's a huge credit to Steph.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys don't have it in them to do that. We got Mike Heath, voice of the Tennessee Titans on the other side. We'll be able to talk to him about the draft in totality. Schedule release is less than a week away as well. The excitement builds. It's Jay Martin, 104.5 The Zone. PAI Medical, helping thousands of guys and gals when it comes to hair loss. They are true experts. Nobody better in the field. They are wonderful people, and what they do is they sit you down, they take photos, they show you what your situation is. They say, hey, this is where you're thin, this is where you're going to be thin, this is where it's going, and this is what we can do for you, and here's a plan. Here's how it'll look in 6 months. Here's how it'll look in a year. Here's how it'll look in a year and a half, whatever. Surgical procedure, they've got that. Non-surgical, the most advanced options, they've got them all. Laser therapy treatments that regenerate sleeping hair follicles, non-surgical, comfortable procedures that actually work. How do I know? Because I'm doing it. I'm actually headed there after the show today for another laser session. It's 20 minutes, sit in a chair, look at my phone for a couple of minutes, don't feel it at all, and you find results. When it comes to cost, affordable payment plans that fit anyone's budget. They've helped Nashvillians for over 25 years. All Michael Ramsey and his staff do is hair. They're the very, very best at it. You can trust them. 615-376-6010 is how you get in contact. That's 6010 for PAI Medical, or hit them up online, wegrowhair.com. That's wegrowhair.com. Jay Martin, Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, all Four Seasons garage doors in Nashville, making it possible. If you need great healthcare coverage with an affordable price tag, let Farm Bureau Health Plans coach you through it. They've been protecting Tennesseans for 75 years. They're why we are joined by Mike Keith, voice of the Tennessee Titans, Titans Radio, of course. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Jason. Good morning, Ramon.
Morning, Mike.
So last week was a busier week for you than this week, and then next week we get the schedule release. So the NFL is not giving you much of a respite, but now that the draft is in the rear view, Mike, how do you assess what the Titans were able to accomplish over those 3 days?
Very pleased with the overall haul from what the needs were, for the depth that it provides at some spots, for I think some immediate help at some spots as well. Also, the addition of a quarterback, which we did not expect. I don't think anybody thought the Titans entering the draft had the capital to be able to use either 26 or 90 on a quarterback. And so to be able to get Malik Willis, I think goes in a very different spot in terms of what it fills with this class, because he is very, due to the fact he was a third-round pick, he's very low risk and potentially very high reward. And when you get those opportunities and you're able to do it, and you can't say that they should have done something else with that pick. You know, that's the great thing about it. We thought, and we discussed it on Titans Radio, we thought 35 might be the quote-unquote bonus pick. Instead, John Robinson said, we like Roger McCreary so much, we're not dealing it. He had action on that pick, but he wasn't dealing it. He wasn't doing anything wild there. He took a guy he feels like can help this team now. And so then at 86 to get the bonus pick, so to speak, again, very low risk at a third-round selection, potentially high reward if this guy ends up being your starting quarterback at some point. I mean, it's a very good thing for the Tennessee Titans. So, and then I thought day 3 was actually good too. You needed a tight end, you got a tight end. You needed a running back, you got a running back. You needed another receiver, you got one. You're able to get some defensive back help, and you're able to get a guy with your last pick in Campbell that may be a really good special teams player right away. So I think it's a really, really good haul, a very different haul than the one I expected going in.
There was obviously a difference in how people felt about John Robinson Friday morning and Saturday morning. And I felt like a lot of fans and certainly even folks in the media seemed to think the Titans had a good draft, and I agreed with them. I also felt like once the Malik Willis pick happened, because of where it happened and because of the scenario that it sets up for the future, not really for the present, everything else was house money. Not that John Robinson didn't do well, but that everybody was so excited that they now have a tangible look at what the future could be at the position in years to come. Robinson already put a smile on people's faces. He wiped off a frown 24 hours ago because of the A.J. Brown situation and came out of this thing smelling like roses in many people's idea.
And it had really started to change by the time we got to the end of the night on Thursday and into Friday as I talked to people, because more and more people, and you said it on the show last week, one of your callers put it well, my head knows it's the right thing, but my heart still hurts, I think was sort of a paraphrase. Mm-hmm. But then as people saw Treylon Burks and people really started to research him, they're like, oh, okay. And I don't think the Titans make this deal to trade A.J. Brown unless they know they can get Treylon Burks. I think that's why it was held as long as it did. That's why they worked to make sure that nobody could jump in front of them. So you get Treylon Burks and you say, okay, I start to see it. And then you start to realize the flexibility that you get through the rest of the draft. And you said it with Malik. I mean, here's the thing. He's a third-round pick. If it doesn't work, you're out a third-round pick. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to cost you playoff appearances. It's not going to be tremendous salary cap, death or destruction in any way. It's a third-round pick. But then if he works out, you potentially get a starting quarterback who was a third-round pick like Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hello. I mean, again, very low risk, potentially high reward. And The Athletic put out a piece yesterday about what he went through in the 2 days of the draft. I don't know if you guys have read it. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It is really fascinating, and the theories in his camp about why he fell the way he did, how things were just some unlikely things went down, and he just got in a bad scenario. I mean, really, really fascinating. Really, really fascinating, and I think the Titans were very, very fortunate in that way. I'm excited about it.
Mike, everybody at the beginning of the draft process was very excited about Treylon Burks. But the dream was exciting because you thought, oh, my gosh, if we can get Treylon Burks and A.J. and Bobby Trees together. Now you're missing one. So with that being said, whoever's going to be wide receiver one or who takes it over, I'd assume is going to be Treylon. But what's the expectation of his development and the fact, he needs to be able to replace what A.J. left behind?
Well, you're going to replace it in a couple of different ways. I mean, remember last year, this is hard to believe, that in June we had the expectation of A.J. Brown and of Julio Jones, and now neither one's with the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Robert Woods jumps to one, because I think Robert Woods can put together the numbers, and through the course of his career historically has put together fantastic numbers, playing as a one or a two. It doesn't matter to him. He just plays. I think that gives Treylon some space to kind of grow up. I think the other guy who really gives Treylon some space to grow up is Nick Westbrook-Akina, who certainly will factor into a role. Nick has put himself in position, did a nice job last year.
Yeah.
And put himself in those packages. The other guy that I'm watching very closely, I mean, there are obviously two guys we drafted last year. Des Fitzpatrick is a wild card in all of this. What if he he came on dramatically. I mean, here's a fourth-round pick who got cut, which you don't ever hear of. And he fought back to make the roster, and then he ended up playing some down the stretch. Can he factor into the group? Can Kyle Phillips factor into the group? Many people think he's the sleeper of the Titans' entire draft class. That if you saw him at UCLA, that maybe he factors in. Let me put the other thing out there, too. There's still some veterans floating around.
Yeah.
And don't be shocked if the Titans nab a veteran in the next few weeks who's out there. I don't know who it is, and I don't know what they'd want, and I don't know, maybe it's somebody who's on another roster who ends up getting cut. But now the Titans once again have flexibility to be able to bounce around and potentially do some things. The trade gave them flexibility in the draft. It's also going to give them more salary cap flexibility going forward, some of which they could use today or tomorrow, or maybe it's next year. But when John has flexibility, it's a big help.
Yeah, with that flexibility, the help that Derrick Henry got at the running back position also. I know a lot of people are expecting Derrick to pick up where you left off as far as, going on to 2,000 yards. But if you want the long career of Derrick Henry, I would think it's time to start tapering off with some of his reps. And they ended up getting a very good running back out of Michigan for a really good price also, Mike.
Yeah, really good. Like a fourth-round running back anytime. And like the fact that he plays teams, because the thing that you can do with him now is he can be up on game day as part of the packages. And so if you have him up and you're going to run Derrick 35 times, then he plays special teams. If you have him up and you get him in a situation where you want to run him some, then he's there. If you have some things that you want to do with him in different ways, maybe with Derrick in the backfield, then you could do that. The flexibility of the special teams part of it and allowing him to be part of the 48 every week is a huge part of that deal with the running back.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you can use him on offense, you could use him on because you have him on special teams, you have the ability to use him on offense in some package as much or as little as you need him every week. And honestly, too, and I think we saw this with Foreman, having another big back is a help because it's really what we do. I like Hilliard. I like the quick backs. I like the different things that we bring. I think Jordan Wilkins is an intriguing guy, too. I was thrilled we re-signed him. He's a bigger back. He's 215. He's another guy that can play teams. You love having these options because of how we run the football, what our style is.
Yeah. I mean, that's all true. And we talked to Jeff Schwartz. We talked to Jeff Schwartz about Kyle Phillips. And he said, look, he's a slot guy that can play.
Yeah.
And Jeff watches and talks about Pac-12 football for a living day after day. And he said, that's a nice, sneaky, good pick late in the draft. I don't think he went so far as to call it the best pick at that point. But so the other things that were said this week, A.J. Brown talked and then Ryan Tannehill talked. And Ryan Tannehill maybe is guilty of saying the quiet part out loud while not being Patrick Mahomes. Because you tell me, Mike, I don't think what Tannehill said was egregious really in any way, but he's created this spot because he's Ryan Tannehill and not deemed a superstar that it's easier to slight a Tannehill for saying this than it would be an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady got Jimmy Garoppolo completely on the other coast, like 3 time zones away from him, and he's the greatest quarterback to ever live. It felt like to me the Tannehill stuff was a little outrageous.
Well, I covered a story at one point years and years ago that came out about how when Peyton Manning and Brandon, what was his last name? I cannot believe I can't remember his last name. He was the other quarterback the freshman year at 94 at Tennessee. Well, anyway, Peyton was famous for locking him out of the building, locking him out of the meeting room. He would get there early.
Brandon Stewart?
Brandon Stewart, thank you. Golly. Well, I was wanting to call him I was going to call him Brad Willis, but I knew that wasn't right. Brad Willis.
Brad's not tall enough.
Yes. Brandon Stewart, yes. So Peyton, when he was a freshman, he would get there early and lock the doors so Brandon Stewart couldn't get in the meeting room, so he would miss information. And everybody thought, oh, that's a great story of competition and all this stuff. Well, you flip to today and you hear Ryan Tannehill say something innocuous.
Yeah.
What he's talking about is the job of being a professional football player. And if you take it from the context of the kind of teammate that Ryan Tannehill is, he's as good a teammate as I've ever seen. Ask anybody. Ask A.J. Brown what he did for him. Ask Jonnu Smith what he did for him. Ask Marcus Mariota what he did for him. Ask the backup quarterback. This is a guy, he will certainly try to make Malik Willis better. He will do anything he can to help Malik Willis. He will be kind to him. They'll have a great relationship. I can assure you when they talk to him in training camp and Malik talks, he will talk glowingly about what Ryan Tannehill does for him. If we take what we know, which is 3 years of Ryan Tannehill, the proof, and leave out a comment that is just, come on. That's the part that I think we have to step forward and say, wait a minute. And I think a lot of the media here has, because Tannehill is not going to lock the door on Malik Willis. Mm-hmm. That's just not going to happen. Now, the other story is kind of a funny, friendly, two freshmen competing, but showing the intensity of Peyton Manning. We heard all those things. Ryan Tannehill is a super guy, and he is a great teammate. He wants to stay the starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. He wants to be the guy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a job. Hello. And that's part of it. But the other part is you can still be a great teammate, and he will be, I assure you.
Mike, do you look at, all the things that he said owning up to the playoff games, the struggles he had this offseason, and just where he was? Clearly he was in a darker spot than everybody kind of acknowledged. Do you think this year is going to be very beneficial for him to just get back into the saddle?
I was glad to see him get back this week and get back to work, because I think for everybody, turning the page is the key to the whole thing. And I think, like I said about the draft last week, I think for Titans fans, the draft was turning the page. You know, and it was certainly quite a page to turn, wasn't it? But I think for a lot of people, it's been hard because it was so disappointing. And the reason it's so disappointing is because you care so much. And nobody cares more than the quarterback. Nobody cares more than the guy who understands the responsibility that he carries on his shoulders every single week. And look, I mean, you don't win the playoff game, you have to live with that. That's what the big money and, you know, the star status comes with. You know, the same that Matthew Stafford right now is one of the great heroes in the history of Los Angeles Rams football. And a year ago, he was the guy who got the crap kicked out of him every year for 13 years with the Detroit Lions and was an overrated number one pick.
Yeah.
How long?
So that's how it goes. We could sit and say that's not fair or life's not fair, but that's the reality of it. So I think the getting back to work part of it for him is absolutely a great thing for him to be able to turn the page and for the Titans to be able to turn the page.
Do you already have what you talking about, Willis, written down for the future to be able to say on a Malik Willis touchdown a few years from now?
I don't think you can do that. I don't think I can do that. I mean, I think that's just too easy, don't you?
Sometimes it's easy for a reason, Mike.
Well, that's fair. But I mean, I think that's too easy. I think you're trying to come up with something better than that.
Mike basically said, "Be better."
That's fair. That's why you're the VOT, Mike. That's why you're the guy.
Well, but I mean, we've always done that with Brad Willis too. So it's
yeah.
You've already had the. That's true.
That's true.
That's true. Willis has already maybe been overused. Poor Malik. There's nothing left for him.
Poor Malik. So yeah, I have a feeling we'll come up with some things for him even in the preseason, because, I mean, how much are Titans fans going to want to see the preseason games to see what this guy looks like?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Maybe you can do a Malik Willis Reed reference at some point.
Maybe you could use Bruce Willis lines. You could use a Die Hard line from that.
Yippee-ki-yay?
Stop right there, Mike. Maybe you could bring him John. I know John McClane retired from the Houston Chronicle, but you maybe get him in there and have a John McClane. And yeah, that's right.
I think "Welcome to the Party, Pal" would be a good one to use.
Hey, Mike, is it true?
Yeah.
That the socks.
I appreciate y'all doing my job for me. Really do.
We're gonna spend the next few years trying to figure out what your first Malik Willis call is going to sound like.
Is it true that you took those socks laid up on that table and used them as hand puppets?
The answer to that, I'm not even playing along. No.
The most bizarre thing of the night, Mike. The draft wasn't. It was the removing of the socks and placing them on
Did you see the guy take the socks off, or did you just see him bring him up?
I don't know how he did it.
So Rhett Bryan was talking at the time, and I looked to my right, and the gentleman is laying a pair of socks on our table, which, I mean, I don't know why you decide to take your socks off. I mean, I guess you're not very happy. And my assumption is he had them on, that he wasn't just carrying them in his pocket. I think that's probably true, but I did not witness it. The flip of that is I'm not really sure why he decided we needed them. It was quite a moment in Titans history. It's not the most bizarre thing we've ever had put on a table in front of.
Okay. I need to know. I need to know that then before we let you go. What is if it's not AJ Brown's socks?
I'll tell you. A man in Scottsboro, Alabama, once removed his prosthetic arm and laid it on our table to show us something that was going wrong with his arm. And Larry Stone went under the table. He was so grossed out. It was the all-timer, and I'm very hopeful that no one will ever try to top it.
Well, I thought maybe he took the arm off to give it to Jake Locker so maybe they could complete some passes.
Oh, why are you doing this?
God.
Everything was going so well.
I'm sorry.
This was actually 2001.
Ah.
Joe Nedney was our player. This was on Titans Caravan. And Larry asked him how he was doing, and he said he was not doing well. He had pain in his arm. And so he decided to take his arm off and show Larry specifically why he was having these difficulties.
Wow.
See?
That's a walk-off shot.
That's why we don't ask how you doing anymore.
Yeah, we don't need to answer.
Well, so the big thing is socks, not great, but not the worst.
Not the worst.
You proved it, Mike. Thanks, buddy. Have a good weekend.
Okay, guys. We'll see you.
Wow, a prosthetic arm. I can't believe I didn't know that until now. I feel like that's a story that would have been around the building.
No.
How does Rhett not use that in every conversation?
I know. If me seeing the socks is not the worst thing, and this is me just starting out with Mike Keefe, I'm in for a long ride.
There were definitely some quarterbacks could have used that prosthetic arm. They played for this franchise.
You, sir.
Spot
I choose violence.
Yeah, you do.
Peep the fib.
Is that the Brentwood way of saying
Spot the lie.
Peep the fib? Can we use it? We're using it now.
We'll be back. We'll quiz Moan on some celebrity heights. J. Martin and Moan 104.5 The Zone.
Business owners, are you feeling boxed in by the pressures of running your business? Like managing remote workforces, keeping up with the changing regulations, and HR compliance, the hiring and retaining of top talent, handling payroll. This list goes on. There's a limit to what you can do to keep employees engaged while running your business smoothly. Fortunately for you, there's Insperity. They put 30-plus years of HR experience to work to help you develop a people strategy that supports your business strategy while focusing on the health of your organization. What if your HR strategy included access to better benefits to help you keep the employees you have and also attract new ones? What if it also offered training for your employees to increase their skills so that they become more productive? There will always be challenges to face in business, and no matter where they come from, Insperity is ready to help you move past them by providing the HR solutions you need. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. Go visit their website at Insperity.com.
Now, watch this, everybody. Grab my arm. The other arm. My other arm. Okay, now watch this. I'm just gonna break the wrist and walk away. Break the wrist, walk away.
Jeez.
Okay, it's just that simple. Now, I want you to kick me.
So we asked why, like, how in the world were socks not the weirdest thing they've ever been left on a table at a Titans radio event? And Mike's like, because we had a prosthetic arm left at a Caravan in 2001, and Larry Stone was grossed out and had to get underneath the table. So I went to Rhett during the break, or across the hall. I'm like, how in the world have we not heard this before? He said he had forgotten it, which I can't believe you could have. But then he said, even that's not. He was like, that's probably the weirdest, but we also, on one Caravan, had somebody come up to one of our players whose name just escapes me. I told you. Who was it? Did I tell you, Shay?
Stewart.
Yeah, Dave Stewart.
Yeah.
And asked him to autograph a live goat.
A what?
A goat.
A goat?
And I'm thinking to myself, what are you going to do when it rains?
I've signed arms, like, hands.
I've done
and
a few of those things in my wrestling career, too.
What?
But a goat? First off, why are you bringing a goat to the Titans Caravan?
Who made these people, man?
He said it was Alabama. He said,
well, there we go. That's our answer. There, Alabama or Mississippi. That's our answer right there.
Live goat.
A goat. I don't even. Who told you it was it like what do they call those? A service animal? Was it trained? Because goats will just drop. Anywhere. And they'll eat your jeans. They will. Shape,
What, have you had a pair eaten by a goat?
I've just seen people post videos and goats just start eating away at their jeans.
I was hanging out with some donkeys a couple of weeks ago.
I bet you were, weren't you?
I had one of our relatives has donkeys.
Oh, I thought she was going to say a bunch of jack bleeps. Okay, never mind.
No, that's Monday through Friday, 6 to 10.
You know he's
actual donkeys.
For the slander.
I was
feeding them carrots.
When are you buying that zebra there, Mo? We've talked about this for like a year.
No, a zebra. We can't get one in the state of Tennessee. I can go get the license like tomorrow.
Go out to like Cookville and get a zebra.
Man, I just got my fishing license too yesterday during the show.
All right,
I did, man.
That's cool.
Glad you're working hard during the show.
That's cool.
Grab my arm.
my other arm.
My other well done.
Other arm.
I just can't believe I did not know that story.
Me either. Who leaves a leg on the table, man?
No, baby.
I mean, that kind of felt like Marcus.
When are you ever gonna grow up?
Laid back Friday. Weather's kind of dreary. We're just trying to get to 10 o'clock.
We said it was Fridays, and here he is.
What was worse, those two
sativa.
things or the Tupac joke that Shafe made yesterday?
Mine was way funnier. Cringy.
Sad thing is, I knew you were going to do it. Of
course.
That's why I picked that height, because I'm like, somebody is going to take it here. I want to see if I work with the people I fear I work with.
Yeah.
Turns out, yup.
No apologies from this guy.
You never do.
One height right now, and then we'll do some more after the headlines.
All right, let me hear one.
Mariah Carey.
Mariah seems tall. I give Mariah 5'9".
I was going to go 5'9".
5'7".
Is she 5'7"?
Must be the heels.
She's always in them.
Gotta be the heels.
It's between that and the Christmas song.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought she was even shorter than that.
All I want for Christmas is 5'9".
It's 5. Yeah, I thought she was like 5'9"ish.
One of the worst first pitches ever, and nobody cared.
50 Cent.
Well,
hers was bad.
Horrible.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
I
it's
thought you were talking
Mariah.
about Baba Booey. I forgot about.
Yeah, I was thinking about 50.
Mariah's was pretty bad.
Was bad.
Pretty awful.
Well, I wouldn't expect anything more.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. When Mariah Carey throws a horrible first pitch, you're not surprised.
But I bet she smiled and it made it all better.
Yeah, that's what she did.
I knew it. Of
course.
Like-minded.
We'll do more heights after the top of the hour. I don't even know what you're talking about at this point in time. I wish there was a prosthetic arm right now because I could reach across the table.
You reach over.
Limping back.
You pull him back a nub.
Pull back a nub. It's Jam Under Mo 104.5 The Zone. When you found your dream home, that is not the time while you're competing with other buyers to be unclear about whether or not you're going to be approved. If you're not getting pre-qualified, you're going to have no shot. Getting pre-qualified with a lender before house hunting makes you stand out from the crowd. That's how the people that are selling the home that you want, they have the reassurance they need to actually be able to pick your offer. If you're working with a lender that's not giving you the service you'd like, if you got lack of transparency, if you're just frustrated because you can't get in touch with them, the communication just stinks, the service is slow, that's how you miss that closing date. That's how you lose that dream home. If you're experiencing it, it's time to reach out for a second opinion. The time is right now. It's Mortgage Investors Group, the Southeast leading mortgage lender, here to help you get not just any loan, but the right home loan. They're going to make sure you close on time. Their communication is top notch. Your dreams are going to be realized if they have anything to say about it. Let Mortgage Investors Group work for you. Go to migonline.com, find the office nearest you. That's migonline.com. Get all the advice you need there too. Or text 3 letters, MIG, to 31399. MIG, 31399 is the number. Get pre-qualified. Do it today. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan, equal housing lender, license number 109111.
9:02, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Valiant effort last night for Connor Ingram playing between the pipes for the Nashville Predators. 49 saves. Couldn't make that 50th, though, as Cale Makar scored the game winner 8:31 into overtime, giving the Colorado Avalanche a 2-1 win and a 2-0 series lead in their Stanley Cup playoff first-round matchup. Game 3 tomorrow afternoon at Bridgestone Arena. First home game of the series for the Preds. Puck drop set for 3:30. NBA tonight, Heat at Sixers, 6 o'clock. Suns at Mavs, 8:30. Both the Heat and Suns lead their second-round series 2-0. Celtics at the Bucks, 2:30 tomorrow. Griz at Warriors at 7:30 on Saturday night. Atlanta Braves start a 3-game set tonight against the Milwaukee Brewers at Truist Park. First pitch set for 6:20. Sounds beat Norfolk 4-3. They're 18-8 on the season are the Sounds. They'll host Norfolk again tonight at First Horizon Park. First pitch, 6:35. UT, the base Vols, lost 3-2 in 13 innings to Kentucky yesterday. Be in action again today, and you can listen to Saturday's game right here on The Zone with pregame starting at 12:45. Then on Sunday, Nashville SC hosts Real Salt Lake in the second ever game in Geodis Park history. Kickoff set for 4. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your home for the Titans and the Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Fourth hour, hashtag fastest 4 hours in radio is here. It's the final hour of the J Mart and Ramon week.
Four's up.
Four's up.
Last hour, baby.
Zone chat. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on YouTube and everywhere else. I went there for like 2 seconds this morning.
It's wild in there, Jay.
And I saw Ron was talking a lot, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, man. He trying to get back at you.
I don't understand. For what?
He's still talking about your boot. When we pretty much trashed him on air yesterday. I told him me and Babs had a peace treaty right now.
Well, what are they talking about my boot? I don't understand.
It's just calling you Boots McGee. Caples was in there.
Call me Boots Donnelly, man.
Boots Donnelly.
Love Coach Donnelly.
Who was Coach Donnelly? I laughed.
Long time coach at MTSU in the late 70s into the 90s.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay. My old line coach ended up being at MTSU. Jimmy Ray Stevens. Coach
Jimmy Ray Stevens, yep.
Yeah, you know Coach Jimmy
Yep,
Ray, don't
I
you?
do.
Yeah. He was good. He was hard.
So
as hell,
they
man.
were just mocking the
Yeah,
boot?
Jason Boots Martin. That's your new name. They got on me some too, but Caples really took his time with you today. It wasn't anything crazy. It was mostly about
I mean,
the boot.
it's fine.
It wasn't crazy.
I was just trying to
though.
figure out what it was in reference
Yeah,
to.
somebody snitched on you and told him that you leaned into Caples yesterday.
Did
I'm
I?
the one that leaned into Caples.
Huh?
I'm the
leaned
one that
into
leaned into
Andrew.
Caples.
You leaned into Andrew? Well,
I
either
just
way,
mentioned
it
to
got
Andrew
flipped
when he
somehow.
did the Bleep You Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
that we had receipts about what he had to say about the AJ
Oh,
trade on
that's
social
what it
media.
was.
on
Yeah,
Monday.
Jason leaned into Andrew. I leaned into Caples.
I didn't say anything about Cable.
Somebody was snitching.
Because Caples talks about fake fan on Twitter, which is fine. It's just I didn't agree with him. I wanted further clarification, so I mentioned Caples on the show yesterday.
Yeah, nah, somebody was snitching. That's all it was. Snitches get stitches.
But snitching about what, though? That's what I don't understand.
It just no. It's Friday, y'all.
Oh, so it's just snitching,
Friday.
snitching.
It's just violence. That's all it was.
So as we call it, sports snitching.
Yeah, it was
just
sports
talking.
snitching.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all it was.
All right.
Sport, trying to see the world burn. That's how I like to refer to it. And you know how I enjoy a good instigation.
I mean, y'all can just.
Taking Anna lick my backside.
I love a good instigation.
I just don't.
Strike a match and let's
The
go.
piece of The Athletic that Mike Keith referenced about Malik Willis is really good.
Yeah.
One that I think Titans fans like, but you always want to find, if you can find something to motivate you, it's good. But one thing that comes from this is they went to a bowling alley on day 2 because that's what the Willis family always does. They go bowl and they're all like elite bowlers. The whole family. That's what they do as a family and had his whole life. So day 1, they're in the green room. Day 2, they could get a suite at a hotel or whatever like that. And he's like, no, let's go bowling.
That's about right.
So they go bowl. Everybody's nervous except Malik. They're all coming over him to console him, and he ends up consoling them the entire time. He's just like, it's going to be the way it's going to be. I'm going to end up somewhere. I'm just so happy and blessed to have an opportunity to play in the NFL, blah, blah, blah. And so it tells all the story and everything. And then one of the guys that's with him says this to the reporter. He says, Malik's as humble as they get, but a little bit of a chip definitely formed on his shoulder. He's going to be real excited to play Pittsburgh in his career. He's going to be real excited to play Atlanta. But the celebration in that moment, if anything, was more than it would have been on Thursday night, because now the whole crew got to experience it together as opposed to Thursday when 10 people were allowed in the green room. He had over 100, just people in his life that were there, and all of them could have been there. But he had thought everything went really well with Pittsburgh. It talks about how they loved him, and he felt pretty good that they might take him, and they called him to say, hey, we're going with Kenny. And it was a tough moment for him.
Can I say? They didn't have to do that.
No, I know. And it mentions in the article, by the way. It mentions that.
For them to do that, that's saying a lot about, one, how they feel about that kid.
Yeah.
That's a
They
business,
didn't want him
man.
to learn. They didn't want him to hear another name come out at the quarterback spot without him knowing.
Wow. That's crazy. Titans, you got yourself a guy. I know he slid, but for a business that has, y'all know this is a dog-eat-dog business as far as the NFL goes. We see that, right? Everybody's witnessed somebody get dogged out as far as the business. That type of relationship stuff like that doesn't happen, man. You don't get a courtesy call. You'll find out. Who was it? The linebacker from Seattle that went to the Rams.
Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner. He found out
On
a
Twitter,
7-time All-Pro. All-Pro, not Pro Bowl. He found out on Twitter he was about to get cut. I don't want to foreshadow,
So this is what he says. He says, obviously, or this is what one of, I think it's McAvoy, who works at the quarterback place where they developed Jalen Hurts and a lot of these guys, and he was there.
Wow.
He said, obviously, Pittsburgh was the tough one. That's the one Malik felt good about. With the conversations Malik had with the Pittsburgh higher-ups and decision-makers during the process and his visit. So there was a moment there to let Malik know this is what's about to happen, so there's no shock when they call a different name than yours.
Wow.
That was the toughest moment of Thursday night, because then what's next? There weren't a lot of teams at the end of the round looking for a quarterback.
No.
So the idea of being a first-rounder is slipping away with that conversation.
For a kid like him to get that type of respect this early on in the league,
Just
man.
shows what character he's got, what kind of impression he made.
And that doesn't mean anything if he doesn't ball out, but that's a damn good starting spot, Jay. For you to have that type of respect, it just shows like other teams either had other positions or guys they really, really love. But I know for a fact Pittsburgh was gushing over this kid. And I would say this, they probably felt, to your point, and you said this also, Jay, that Kenny Pickett was more pro-ready to where they didn't have to coach him up as more.
Yeah, I mean, he had run – he was. I mean, there's no question about that.
Just a victim of –
things that were outside of his control in a lot of ways.
Outside.
Another part of this article says, Willis, little-known recruit at Westlake, where Cam Newton once started. Virginia Tech offered him as an athlete, not really athlete, during his junior year. Jackson State was the only program that thought he could play quarterback. Willis transferred to Roswell High School as a senior. Almost single-handedly brought a state championship there. Earned a scholarship to play quarterback at Auburn. After 2 years of mop-up duty, an Auburn coach told Willis he was nearly perfect in the spring game in 2019. Shortly thereafter, same guy tells him it didn't matter, you're going to be third string behind Bo Nix and Joey Gaywood, and he transferred out. McAvoy, the quarterback, the guy that worked with him in the quarterback academy that gave a lot of this information, said, you've never gotten the benefit of the doubt at any point. You've continued to work through adversity. This is just another step. If there's anybody who can handle it, it's him, which you feel really good about. So that story, and then dropping into the third round, and it talks about how people that were around him were just like, please just don't let this go to Saturday, because they were getting towards the end of the round and didn't see a lot of teams that needed quarterbacks sitting there. And what's interesting is they said they missed. Almost everybody in the room missed that the Titans had traded up with the Raiders. And just they were caught off guard when he got picked. Malik wasn't, because obviously he got the phone call. Well, I think while he was in the bathroom washing his hands. And then he comes out and he's looking at everybody and they all realize that he got picked and then they had the moment.
That's phenomenal, man.
By the way, as just announced by Jim Wyatt, Malik Willis, number 7.
Actually, that's the number that was in my head for some reason.
That's what it is. I just put all of them in the Slack.
Robert Woods will wear 2.
Bobby Tree.
Austin Hooper will wear 81. Just naming some of the ones that are here. Guys that change numbers. Racey McMath moves to 13. Cody Hollister goes to 8. Jamarco Jones will wear 73.
He's going to be all right then.
Because he's wearing 73.
Chance Campbell's a linebacker wearing 45, a fullback number. I love it. That's great.
45 doesn't really go with linebackers.
Josh
man.
Malone.
That's why I liked it.
Former Vol will wear 86.
Shout out to Josh, man.
Looks like, if Robert Woods is going to wear 2, that means that Derek's not.
Dang, Aaron Brewer changed?
Yep.
You know, Jamarco Jones is going to be wearing, Ramon?
What?
We
73.
Dude, did you
Did you say that? No,
I
Do you
didn't
listen to the radio?
Oh, you're not
I'm
listening to us, Shay.
I'm sorry.
No, you don't get a chance to overtalk us when you're wrong like that. Okay. Mic off. Cut my mic off. Okay, I'll go back on my corner.
He literally said, he's going to be all right. I'm like, why? Because it's your number? Like, we did the whole spiel, and they were like, you see what Jamarco Jones is wearing?
I ain't listening to you.
You, Aaron Rodgers.
This is also another one of them. I'm tired of buying jerseys, too. Because these veterans that are changing, like, numbers, like, come on, y'all. Aaron, you've been in the league for a little while now.
Can we be honest, though?
I'm listening.
Oh, man, how many people just got snake bit on an Aaron Brewer jersey that they had already bought?
His family members did.
I bet half of them didn't.
There will be no O-line slander on J. Martin Ramon, okay?
I'm not even slandering.
No.
I'm slandering the amount of jerseys.
No
I need to talk to the pro
O-line
shop
slander.
and see how many people are angry that Aaron Brewer changed his name.
This is a safe place for offensive linemen.
I bet it was 2s of people.
No, don't you dare disrespect OL like that, Jay. There's thousands of jerseys out there.
Right, still on the rack. Non-purchased.
One more slanderous comment about offensive line, and I'm going to show you what my jab step is like, okay? Jab and punch real quick.
T-Rex arms.
Oh, my arms alone.
No,
Don't
yours
try to
are.
make a
That's
bed.
true. That's true.
Do we have a guest coming up or no?
Aditi.
We got
Okay,
D.
I wasn't sure if we did. It wasn't in the. I wasn't sure if it had changed.
I was about to get him.
I think I had changed it, but that's all right.
Nah, I thought
Aditi Kinkhabwala will join us on the other side. We'll talk to her about what she thought of the draft.
Ooh, and the Baker stuff.
The Baker stuff is particularly, as the AFC North was her beat. Now she's changed up a little bit.
She can talk about Malik since the Steelers looked at him. Yeah.
Yeah, all of that coming up next. J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
It's going to be a beautiful day. Well, we'll get some rain, but as far as overall temperature, it's going to be nice, y'all. I'm telling you, enjoy this because guess what happens next week? It's going to get hot. And I'm talking about really hot. We're talking about 90s next week. And you know what you can't afford to have? Is a broken down air conditioner unit, okay? But I got the company for you. Is Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They can take care of all of your HVAC needs, and you're going to need it because it's about to get hot and you're going to be using that unit a whole lot. But they have over 20 years of experience serving all of Southern Middle Tennessee. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling also is a family-owned and operated company that prides itself for outstanding customer service, which is beautiful and hard to find these days. They also offer cost-effective solutions such as a free service call for a repair and free estimates on replacement systems. They also back their work with 10-year parts and labor warranties and up to 72 months of no interest on new installs. So be ready for this spring, which is about to turn up a little bit, or the summers, or anything that may come your way by getting the best indoor air quality thanks to Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They have 2 locations to serve you, Columbia and Lyles, and available anytime at springhillac.com. Go talk to the folks I know and trust. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. In our final hour of the week. Back in 2020, this again from the piece of The Athletic. Back in 2020, just before Willis's first start at Liberty, his father texted him an article ranking the nation's 130 starting quarterbacks. Willis was number 123.
Dang.
Underneath that, his father texted him one question. Are you going to prove him wrong or are you going to prove him right? Willis told The Athletic, I was like, all right, let's go. What was his reaction to that text?
Wow. His dad Malik gets it. Golly, they got
Malik's working hard, too. If you see what he's doing on a day-to-day basis, and it details video calls daily with the coaching staff, all he cares about right now is being ready to go, as prepared as he can be to hit the ground running on day one, May 13th, at rookie minicamp, because he wants to prove everybody wrong at this point. He wants to prove that the one-word play calls at Liberty doesn't mean he can't handle something more complicated.
You know what's crazy about that, too, is people are knocking him for that. But anytime we see an offense, like, really take big strides, what's usually the first thing that people that play on that team say?
Simple offense.
Oh, we simplified it.
Yeah. It's 3 different play calls. We just mask it.
We simplified all. Well, now you want to knock a kid. Again, the draft and free agency isn't about how much we love you. It's about how much we can knock you down so that we can get you for cheap.
There you go. Marksman Real Estate Hotline, Aditi Kinkhabwala, NFL reporter on the line. Aditi, what's going on?
Good morning. How are you all?
We are doing well.
Good, Aditi. Good morning.
We were talking about Malik because he's a Steeler. Or he's not a Steeler, but he could have been one. Pittsburgh actually contacted him and said, hey, we're going to go with Kenny the night of the draft. But they were impressed by him. Are you surprised, not that the Steelers didn't take him, but just that he fell as far as he did considering what everybody has to say about him as a young man?
No, I think that, look, he's really, really raw. There's a lot of potential there, and everything that I've been told is that if he has time to grow and he's in the right system for him, he can be something special. And he does have that arm, and he is dynamic. He's not the athlete that Lamar Jackson is by any means, but there's something about him that's appealing to a lot of people, but he needs time. So I think to sit here and think that he's coming in and competing with Ryan Tannehill, he's not. Mm-hmm. I mean, he needs to develop a little bit. And that's okay. This is the thing that I really don't understand is why everybody is in such a massive rush for all these guys to come in and start on day one. You know, Aaron Rodgers sitting didn't hurt him. Patrick Mahomes sitting didn't hurt him. Eli Manning sat when he started. Like, what's the big deal if you have a redshirt season or a half a redshirt season?
As far as him having time, Aditi, and the comments made about his development with Ryan, like you've been around quarterbacks that's said this type of stuff where it's not my job to mentor. I know you've been around that. How did you initially take it, and what do you think of the responses around it? We've kind of already given our spiel about it. It's what he's supposed to say, but how have you actually seen this turn out for guys that's done this type of thing?
Yeah, I don't love that. Yes, everybody says it, and is it his job? Is it in his contract to work with his teammates? I guess not, but like you think about everything that Alex Smith did for Patrick Mahomes. And to this day, Patrick Mahomes' dad credits Alex Smith so much with Patrick Mahomes' development. I think when you're on a team, you're supposed to help your team be as good as possible, and that means helping your teammates. Look, when Bud Dupree was in Pittsburgh, T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree worked together all the time. Mm-hmm. It wasn't T.J. Watt saying, hey, I'm not going to help this guy. Ramon, how many times did you tell a young lineman, no, I'm not going to tell you where to put your hands? No, I'm not. Like, why? We expect it from every other position that you work with the guys at your position. But a quarterback all of a sudden is supposed to say, no, I'm not going to help a guy? And what's interesting, I'll go back to Pittsburgh just because Mitch Trubisky obviously was this young quarterback taken in Chicago, was not set up for success in any way in the offense, with the coaching, with the media, with the fans, whatever. He goes to Buffalo for a year, and everything that Brian Daboll, who's now the Giants head coach but was his offensive coordinator, has told me about Trubisky is that you would just love this kid. And Trubisky has talked a lot about seeing a really good functioning quarterback room and what it was like to work with Josh and work with the quarterback coach and work with the offensive coordinator and how everybody can help each other. and be an asset to each other. So am I going to ding Tannehill for saying something that a lot of people have said? No, but if you ask me if I have my druthers, I want everybody to say, hey, anything to help our team, anything that makes our team better. And the other piece of this that I'll just say is if they bring in someone younger than you, don't let him take your job then.
Yeah.
Be so good that he can take your job. You know, in some businesses, we don't have that option. We don't have that choice. But in a competitive field like this, you know, if it's not just about your veteran salary, if you really can still do the job and salary is not part of it and contract is not part of it, then don't let the guy beat you out. That's it. Help him, but you still, you know, be better. Be better. That's it.
For sure. Well, speaking of being better, then I mean, let's go to the other team in the AFC North that's got the biggest conversation, or we can go to San Francisco also. Either one of these. And Jay asked this earlier, but what's to be made of the kid Baker? Well, wasn't he the #1 overall draft pick, and now he's out of nowhere? Like, Aditi, you covered them. Is he toxic? Is he a bad teammate? Does he not?
No,
did he not develop?
It's so funny that you say this, okay? Because I was just with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry the first night of the draft, and Kevin Stefanski and I talked at length about Baker. And there is a narrative around. Does Baker occasionally rub some teammates the wrong way? Yes. Does Baker kind of like the show a little bit? Yes. I mean, the chip on his shoulder is bigger than Mount Rushmore, basically, and the guy was the #1 overall pick. So at some point it wears a little bit thin, you know? But he is not a bad teammate, a toxic guy, a cancer in the way that a lot of people outside the locker room sit here and try to make him out to be. And Stefanski was 100% ready to go with him in 2022 if that was the best option, if that's what they were going to do. Baker Mayfield had demonstrated success in the National Football League against very good teams in 2020. In 2021, he was hurt. He was hurt all year in multiple different ways, and he probably should have shut himself down. He did not want to. He was medically cleared, and as Stefanski said it to me, you know, they'd see him make an amazing play. They'd see him make the throw. They'd see him do things and think, okay, he's got it. And then it wouldn't consistently happen. But what do you do? Because Baker at his best is better than Case Keenum, or Baker good is better than Case Keenum at his best. So you go with the guy that's your starting quarterback. He just wasn't necessarily able to do it every play or with the same consistency because of what was going on with the shoulder and et cetera, et cetera. It's hard now, though, because there's not I really thought something was going to get done with Carolina. I talked to multiple people in the Carolina organization who, leading up to the draft felt that Baker was better than any of the quarterbacks in the draft. But it's hard because Carolina was paying Sam Darnold. They weren't going to pay two quarterbacks, even though $18 million, which is what Baker Mayfield is due, $18 million for a starting quarterback in the National Football League this year is a reasonable price. If you're already paying Sam Darnold, you don't want to also pay Baker. Now, the Browns obviously are willing to pick up part of that salary. They know they're going to have to. But remember, everything isn't linear. You have to worry about what ownership expects when you trade a quarterback. You have to worry about perception. You have to, I don't know. And I think there's also not a rush in Cleveland. And the reason I'll say that is that quarterbacks get hurt. And so Cleveland is not going to give away Baker for nothing. And he's not a bad guy that they're just going to cut him and get rid of him to be rid of him. So if they need to go into training camp with him, they expect that he'll show up to training camp, that he knows the best thing he can do to sort of rehab the narrative, the public perception is show up to work. He'll work, and maybe somebody gets hurt. Maybe there's suddenly a bigger market for him. Maybe he's lighting it up in training camp, and that gets out there. And, maybe teams that have a younger quarterback that can't do it. I mean, I was just reading something that said Trey Lance may still not be ready. And the 49ers had a deal in place with Washington for Jimmy Garoppolo until the injury showed up.
Wow.
So
so what's going to happen there? Who knows?
So the narrative that was out there about Baker and Stefanski not getting along, particularly Stefanski not caring for Baker for whatever reason, that's overblown based on what you're saying?
Don't you think, and Ramon, you answer this, don't you think that most things in the National Football League are overblown?
Yeah, they are, but there's some truth behind some of it. I just think.
Yes.
Yep.
Where there's smoke, there may be some fire, but it's not always a, 5-alarm conflagration. So could there have been a little friction? Sure. But, I mean, isn't there always friction in some ways? It's definitely not one of these things where it's like, oh, my God, the two men never could have worked together again.
So the way that this deal has kind of worked out in Cleveland, everybody's kind of in a holdover just trying to see what Cleveland's going to do with Baker. Jay brought up this point. We've kind of just discussed it in the point that is everybody in this league freezing out Cleveland as far as taking Baker or trading or giving up picks because they missed the draft already. Did you ever ask their coaches or a front office about that?
I'm sorry, Ramon.
With the deal that they gave Deshaun.
Because they gave Deshaun that fully guaranteed deal, the league's ticked off, and there's speculation that they're freezing out the Browns and like, no, you're going to have to let him go. We're not giving you anything.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think that that's the case. I think that there just aren't a lot of buyers. I mean, who's a buyer right now? Who needs a starting quarterback?
Yeah. I mean, there's always somebody looking
Seattle, unless they're just trying to bottom out, which they might be.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that Baker is better than Drew Lock, but I don't know that Seattle has any interest in Baker. And a lot of times, when it is the face of your franchise, when it is the guy that has that role, you may have some questions about culture and maturity and fit and personality. And again, if you don't necessarily know Baker that well, you may be, I'm sorry guys, I'm a little bit sick, so I probably sound like I'm going through puberty here. I think there are probably some questions, but anyone doing their due diligence would get a phone call, right? Yeah. Like anybody. Kevin Stefanski is an honest guy, and he's not going to sit here and lie because that's his credibility, that's his reputation, and who knows? He's smart enough to know it's a long life. And if he lies about a player right now, then 2 years down the line, he may be calling that same person about another player who won't tell him the truth. So if someone legitimately wants to know who Baker is and what Baker's potential is and what he actually is like in a locker room, then you can call Kevin Stefanski and he'll tell the truth.
On the other side, we saw the Titans trade away A.J. Brown. From your coverage of how this all went down and where this wide receiver market is headed to, Aditi, what sense do we make of it all?
I wonder. So I think we saw this in Minnesota, right? Get rid of Stephon Diggs and bring in a younger guy. I think that there is such a proliferation of wide receivers in the college game right now. And actually, it was Andrew Berry who said, he thinks it goes all the way back to flag football. And Kevin Colbert, the Steelers' outgoing GM, said 7-on-7. These kids are passing and catching younger and younger than ever before. And because they're getting better at it. And so you've got so many young wide receivers, and you guys know how this goes. Young, cheap rookie talent is cheaper, less expensive than older veteran talent. And this is one of those things that's just, I don't know what else to say other than to say that it's really just sucks. You work your tail off to get that veteran salary, and then you become expendable because there's some young kid around the corner who may not be as savvy as you, may not be as good as you, but is young and cheap. And I think that what we're seeing with wide receivers is that there is just a ton of them. And this high end, I don't know how long that's sustainable. Now, and I'll tell you this, I did ask Kevin Colbert about this, that you're seeing these wide receivers get $22, $25, $27 million, but there are so many young wide receivers. What makes it worthwhile to pay an older guy? And he had said, well, it's really only potential until it actually happens in the National Football League, until you actually see it translate. But when you've got a guy like Jamar Chase, who's 20 years old, 21 years old, and he has a rookie season like that, it just feels like that's one of those positions that's more easily translatable in the NFL than some others. You know, like they always say offensive linemen need a little bit of time to kind of acclimate simply because of the complexities of offense and the size and speed of defensive linemen. They say that perhaps cornerbacks need a little bit of time because the routes are a little bit more complex. It feels like wide receiver is sort of an easier position to step in and be able to contribute.
So
you can disagree with me, though.
No, with all of that, though, and I think just the last one on that, we're seeing Kyler say he's not playing without a new contract. Like, y'all do what you want to, I'm not. Debo is pretty much doing the same thing, although he's followed his team back. AJ got out of Nashville because you think of Jamar Chase has another friggin' year like he just did. Will he hold Cincinnati to the fire to pay him sooner rather than later? Because, as you said, it's proven that they can get to the point a whole lot quicker than any other position. Are we seeing more of whether guys take 2-year deals, or will teams just bend the knee and start paying the way AJ got his?
You know what, I think that, well, I don't want to speak out of turn here because I don't know exactly, but I think your rookie deal, you're kind of locked in. I don't know if you can you actually rip things up and get a new deal just 2 years in onto your rookie deal?
It may
have to wait. I think you have to wait until the end of year 3 before you can have the conversation.
Okay.
I think that's what it is, because I was asking Duke Tobin about Joe Burrow, and I think that they can't even start having that conversation until the end of this year. So I think that Jamar Chase is smart enough to know that as good as he is, he's better with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And Ramon, you and I have had this conversation many times, that a lot of players don't recognize their success has so much to do with all the other puzzle pieces. You and I talked about this with Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Remember? Le'Veon Bell thought he was the best running back in the league. And you and I many years ago had this conversation that he needs to realize that he is a function of an offensive line that knows how to block for his style, which is, was kind of hesitating back there before hitting the hole. And he was playing with a guy named Antonio Brown and another guy named Ben Roethlisberger that drew a lot of attention from defenses, and he wasn't going to be the same player on another team. And that's exactly how it played out. So I think that, and that goes to also, let's say you're another set of your old teammates, Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger. As great as Antonio Brown was, how much of his magic was the chemistry that he had with Ben Roethlisberger?
Yeah.
And so I think Jamar is smart enough to recognize that he and Joe truly have something special. And they have at this point, 6 years of cumulative reps together?
Yeah.
They started so long ago at LSU. I also think that Burrow is really, 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 like Josh Allen, competitive, and he wants the Super Bowl, and he knows that if he takes all of the money in the pot, there will be no money to build a team around him. And I don't think that he is looking to break the bank such that there will be no money left for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and a running back and an offensive line.
For sure.
And then the other piece, to your point about short contracts, I definitely think that that's the future.
That's the future.
As opposed to these 10-year deals. I think that Joe Burrow will sign, 2 years, 3 years, fully guaranteed, and say, I want a new deal after that. Because salaries are skyrocketing so much. And we know that teams don't guarantee late in the contracts anyway. So ask for 100% guaranteed money. And if you get hurt in, year 2, you still have enough money for you and your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's too bad. But I just think that that's kind of the wave of the future here. Shorter deals that are fully guaranteed.
Well said. Good stuff, Aditi.
Thank
we
you,
always
Aditi.
appreciate the time. Have a great weekend.
Well, I always love being on with you guys. Make sure that you say Happy Mother's Day to all your mothers and all the mothers in your life.
And Happy Mother's Day to you,
Mother's Day to you.
Aditi.
Well, thank you. All right, my friends. Talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you.
Oh, she was still talking. Sorry.
Put her back on and apologize.
I'm not doing it.
On Mother's Day. She's gone now.
Not doing it.
Mother's Day weekend, Jay. Way to go. That's one down. That's why CG's
Her
causing
pauses
hell.
get us more than any pauses in radio.
Tanier.
Didi's on a different level than Tanier.
No,
Andy
Staples.
Andy, you never know if you've asked something Andy wants to answer, cares to answer, or if he likes or hates you because of the way he pauses.
You remember the first time Andy Staple came on? I was like,
we're both like, does he hate us?
Dude, hate me.
And it's funny because we've never had a single issue with him.
No, he's
Never.
great. He's great, but the way, just his cadence and everything, I'm like, I think he dislikes me.
Did you cuss me out? Yeah, but he's great though. Andy's great.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So here's a question for you. I'll choose violence real fast going into this break.
Do it.
Because what he was talking about with what Aditi was just talking about related to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I kind of have thrown this out here. We said nice things about Tannehill the last few days. If AJ feels more comfortable with the quarterback situation going forward in Tennessee, not just this season, but the next 3 to 4, if the organization feels more comfortable with where they are with quarterback, is AJ Brown still wearing the Titans uniform today, or is he gone because the money is still the issue?
That's a fair
Or
question.
do you pay him if you are in a better spot at quarterback where he would still be here?
Let's go after the break. I like that.
Jay Martin and Mo, 104.5 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way, and it just stayed that way for what felt like forever. Well, that's what happens when it comes to selling your house. You list your house and you have to keep a show ready because you never know if somebody want to come by for a quick look. Or you have dozens of people marching through your home that may or may not be serious about buying. And this goes on and on until the right buyer comes along. Well, that's all changed thanks to Open Door. And it's Ramon Foster. I want to tell you what I did. I went to opendoor.com, put in my address and home info, and I got an offer back in no time. Open Door takes a look at your house along with recent sales in your neighborhood to come up with a very competitive offer, a real offer, with no listings, no strangers, no stress, and a real competitive offer in minutes. Just go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is a new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. You'll know how much you'll get, and you can close when you're ready. And the best part is you can do everything online. So go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies. And Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc., license 020611130 in California, and Open Door Brokerage, LLC in its other markets. Everybody hurt. Everybody hurt.
Sounds like one of Buck's cats dying.
Everybody hurt.
Correction, one of Buck's cats being murdered.
I hate y'all, man. Everybody hurt.
Good Lord.
You hear me laughing behind it. Everybody hurt. I'm going to have people mad at me because of you, Jonathan. My singing voice is decent.
At least they didn't hear your comments during the break.
Hot trash. It's a good thing we're at the last segment.
Everybody hurt. Why do I do this job with y'all, man? Oh.
Oh, boy. We don't even have time to get into what I suggested before the break. We may just have to save it for Monday. It's a good topic for Monday.
God.
Let's see what Ed in Nashville has. Save us, Ed.
What's up, Ed?
Hey, J. Mark, Ramon. Hey, guys, listen, I've been hearing this for years, saving money. I mean, that is overemphasized by GMs. It's just a way of faking you out, for lack of a better word. But listen here, man. John Robinson's goal is to win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dante Foreman would have stayed here for $1 million, $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Right? Are you better off bringing in a rookie running back when you could have kept this guy for $1 million? Let's go to A.J. Brown. I like Traylon Burke.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right, A.J. Brown is working on a rookie. He's still in his rookie contract. Are you better off keeping A.J. or bringing in Traylon Burks? Because now you can focus on two other positions of need. You don't have to worry about replacing a running back. You don't have to worry about replacing a receiver. They're already there.
Yeah.
So, this whole idea of saving money, look, nowhere in America, no profession, look, the goal of capitalism is to make money.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of this idea of saving money. We're talking about the NFL, a multi-billion-dollar it's a $1 billion industry, and you're talking about saving money. There is no such thing. GMs have put that out there. Look at any championship-winning franchise, basketball, baseball, football. Core players have to stay together. The Cincinnati Reds of yesterday, the Lakers, the Celtics, even the old Steelers. And I understand you can't keep players 10 years, but, guys, if you can't keep Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, if you can't keep those guys together for 2-3 years, you're not going to win a Super Bowl.
And we're about to be done with the show here,
Yeah,
Ed. But
that was a great conversation.
I get your point. One thing I would ask you, though, is you sure Deontay Foreman wanted to be here? Because I'm not. When he goes to Carolina, he's got a good chance to start. He knows McCaffrey is way more injury-prone than Derrick Henry. Henry had one injury.
Yeah, Derrick.
Maybe he wanted to be here, but you always have to remember, as Schaefer has said many times, it takes two to tango. Both sides have to be on.
It does.
They have to want to be with one another in that situation. And to that point, capitalism is about making money. It's not about saving money. And why the hell is Nike making shoes in sweatshops? Why are people's salaries being cut and people being laid off with talent?
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to make more money.
More of it.
It's never enough. That's, I think, the thing. So we'll talk. The topic I threw out there at the end about A.J. Brown and related to Aditi, we'll reset that for you and do it on Monday. Griz this weekend, game 3. Hopefully it'll be as good as the first 2 games, but they do need to win it. You're right. Taking the lead would be huge. Buck Rising coming up next for Moan and Shafe. I'm J Mart. We'll see you Monday morning.
And remember, you never know when your producer's recording you. So your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.
No, baby.